All right, what is going on, everyone? I'm gonna bring Mickey right in. Swaggle Comics. We are doing a shared stream today. Just we've got the Heritage auction. What is this, session 4? I think maybe session 4, something like that, or session 5.
This is for the non-rich people.
Yeah,
to jump in.
For the regular people to maybe buy a few books, even though there's some massive books even in this session. Like the Ultimate Fallout 4, Jurjavik variant,
the Ultimate Fallout 4 is definitely the most maybe interesting one to see what that'll go for, and certainly that'll spawn a conversation.
Yeah, but I don't even know if we'll get to that one. That one's late.
Yeah,
it's late in this auction. Maybe something we talk about like next week or something. But yeah, no, this has been an interesting auction to catch the results and everything from. I know you put out a video already about it, and it's the interesting thing has been, and this is the big thing that I noticed during this auction, was that like the biggest of the big books underperformed.
Yeah.
But like just under that, things did really well.
Yeah.
So for example, I priced out in that first big session, which was like 200 books. I priced out 115 of them, which accounted for about 5.4 million of the 6.4 million that sold. And so a big percentage of them. And of those, 62% beat my estimates. Let's see, 29% went 20% or more above, 13% went 20% or more below. And the Golden Age, it was, let's see. Golden Age was the strongest, like over 60. Silver was in the 50s. Modern was in the 50s. I mean, just in general, it was a surprisingly strong auction. I didn't know what to expect because like going into it, prices were pretty low. And that's, you never know, like live bidding, anything can happen in live bidding.
Yeah.
So
I have a theory. I would throw it out to you and let me know what you think of this. I feel like what that shows, the marquee ones, like the big flagship books that didn't hit great prices, like those are the types of ones that in all likelihood are targeted towards like, hey, Eminem, do you want to buy this first Batman? Like people like this that are sort of really well-to-do kind of casual collectors, or casual, quote unquote, but those types of people. And then they enfranchise people who are really into comic books, they're still buying up all this stuff. Like the people who are watching the stream right now or watch, our YouTubes, like these are the ones that they're picking up for their own collection. That would be my guess, is that maybe there's just those the flagship books that are sort of marketed towards rich people. They just kind of tuned out for this one.
Well, and that's the thing. Like that's why I was wondering what the reaction was going to be from this auction, and from having a few people message me, it's kind of what I expected, is that because those big books underperformed, I had people telling me like, like this must have been a weak auction, right? Or this is and I was like, no, like when I look at the overall numbers, it's a very strong auction. It's just that, but that's what it sucks for Heritage, because like the people are going to focus on those big books, and because they got to try to get the people in to buy those. You don't want your marquee book to go for 500 grand less than 2 years ago, when it's people. I saw someone, I think in one of your comments was like, oh, the copy matters, page quality matters. And it's like, it was the same book. It was the exact same book.
Yeah.
Mean, that seller, I'm guessing they probably have a lot of money, but losing $500,000 plus fees.
Yeah. No, nobody's happy about that. Even if you're a billionaire, like you're not happy about that. Like, that definitely doesn't feel good. Just even proportionally, it's like, if we all buy a comic for $10 and have to send it for $5, we're still bothered by it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting. I think there has been a lot of really, really big sales. And I tried to mention that in my video. It's just that, obviously with all these auction houses, you kind of live and die by the marquee books, right? Like if it's on your preview catalog and you're doing full page, advertisements for it, like, if it set a new record yesterday or whatever the day was, like that'll be the headline as well, right? So it's kind of whatever you get is going to be the big story.
Well, I mean, and so the thing that I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that story transitions to, and I'm gonna pull up the screen here. So here's the tech, you know, and you can see my bid of $7,200. I unfortunately did not, did not win. I meant to post like a short about it because I recorded my screen as I was bidding. I just never got around to it. But I mean, you can see here, 675,000. It went for 1.14 million 2 years ago. So it's back out those fees and everything. Like, yeah, not a good time.
So I heard an interesting, or I saw an interesting comment from shout out to Comic Presser. Yeah, a good guy. He's been on my channel doing conversations about pressing and stuff. But he guessed, and I don't know how he came to this, and I'm butchering what he said. He guessed that this was a crack and press failure, meaning like the person bought it for 1.1 and then tried to crack it and regrade. He had some theory about this, and I don't know.
The only reason I don't think so is that if it was a crack and press, it would have gotten a serial number starting with a 4, and it still has the 2.
I'm butchering what he said. I just saw his comment on it, and he had some in the weeds stuff about it, and
okay,
I don't know. I thought that if that's true, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, but I'll say, like, the thing that if I was Heritage, and maybe they've already done this, I would be pivoting to that Black Cat 50, because holy cow.
Oh yeah.
Like that number just destroyed what even I don't remember what I estimated. I think I maybe estimated 350 or 400,000 or something like that. Went for 840,000. I'm gonna pull that one up.
The Detective 27 budget definitely went to this one right here.
Yeah, like this was a crazy. I mean, and it's not, to me, it's not like a crazy sale. Like, I can't believe it went for that. It's a crazy sale. Like, it's just it ties for the highest ever paid price for a pre-code horror original art cover. The other one was the Shock Suspense Story 6 that sold like peak comic boom, 840 grand. And this one, this one deserves to be, to me, like at this point, like it's such a cool original art cover, like with the black background. It pops so much.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. I mean, already it's one of the great, Lee Elias comics to have. But like you said, it's a lot of these covers, because they have the black inking and the contrast on it are make it even more cool, in my opinion, to own it. And
we've talked about the Chamber 19. I think that one looks better than the actual comic. It just looks so cool.
Yeah, and to that point, I'm glad you brought up the Chamber 19. That's like that was you mentioned in one of our chats, like that was the steal of the century, right? Like that.
It looks like it.
Whatever. What was it that
it went for like 200, like
200
3 years ago or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the original art market has exploded, and the big ones, especially covers. I mean, this auction was had the Roger Hill collection. I mean, like one of like the biggest names in collecting this type of content that passed away recently, and so it's released a lot of his collection here, and I think it's going to be sold throughout multiple auctions moving forward. But these were some of the biggest ones, and I mean, he had the Haunt of Fear #1 or issue 15. I mean, like stuff that I didn't even know the original art existed for some of these things.
It's funny. Out. It's funny to see these things like just come out of the woodworks. You're like, it really exists, and I think that's maybe sort of the fun for a lot of original art collectors. It's like there's so much mystique behind, like, does this thing even still exist? Does someone have it?
Yeah, I mean, when I was going through and just kind of like making my watch list for this, it took forever to go through the original art. I mean, there's so much of it in this auction. But there was a question here: did the Thursday AM start limit the day one audience? I mean, I would think it does, but you also wonder, like, are the people that are buying those books, do they care? Like, does it matter that it's the work day, right?
Yeah.
Like, or can they send their, someone to go, bid on it for them? Or, is the person that's buying this actually hitting the bid button?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, I do actually wonder, like, do you think when Eminem buys like AF-15, like, is he the one like hitting bid, or is it like his assistant? You
See,
know,
that's what I always just assume it's the assistant, but I mean, I
yeah.
feel like it'd be fun to be the one, you know,
Well,
bidding on that stuff.
yeah, yeah. Or I wonder too if it's, well, I guess it's a little bit different with Heritage, but I mean, does he just sort of say like, hey,
Well, a
you
lot
know,
of those people I think are on like the ones on the call. You know, they're the
yeah,
ones that are
right,
phoned in and they're because
right.
you've got the person on the phone trying to talk them into you're like, oh, you're gonna miss out. You know, you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
you got to put in that another another bid because yeah, I mean, a lot of times these like if you ever get a chance to watch these live, like sometimes they'll stall. And then I've kind of joked that if you want to buy something, you never want Brian, who is a Heritage Comics grader on Instagram, to be the one auctioning because he is so good at
yeah,
just like getting that extra bid out of people. You know, and
yeah,
you're just like I know it's just it's tough. Like sometimes you like you think like maybe I want it, and then he just he'll push someone a little bit more, and you get another bid, and you see that happen where sometimes it'll get stuck at a number way lower than where it finishes, and then it just starts like snowballing up. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
He is definitely really good at that. He's definitely added a couple zeros, I think, on lots before.
and we've got Neo Cards and Comics in the chat. What's going
What's
on?
up?
But yeah, so this auction, this part of the auction starts in 3 minutes, and it's this one isn't live though. So this is the kind of the standard one where you're just you're having the automated system go through it. So they sell when they sell. You know,
Yeah,
you don't get to have anybody hold it up for you, and try to pull more bids out. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's some big stuff in this one. Like I've got kind of the list of, or these are some of the books that I'm watching in this one, and it just opens up with some really early actions. Action
yeah,
3, a restored CBCS, Action 4, all select this. This Matt Baker, all top 16. There's an Archie 1. It's got I
yeah,
think it's a married cover or something like that. Then you've got a bunch of early Batman, and it's just funny. It's like yesterday, or not yesterday, would have been Thursday. They have the super high grade copies, and then this is considered the lower grade.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
the 6.5.
You
But
got you got one of your recent books in here. You know, the second Batman.
oh yeah, let's see. Let me find that. Oh yeah, it's
It's
a 5. It's like a 5.5 restored,
yeah,
isn't it,
right
or
there,
something?
Tech
Or
28.
6.5 restored. Yeah, yeah. It's sitting at 13.2 for a restored copy. I mean, mine's it's unrestored. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll be
you
interested.
got a
I'll be
nice.
interested to see what this goes for.
We gotta yeah, definitely that's a good one to watch. I just sorted by highest price right now
Mhm.
where things are sitting. It looks like the Sensation One is the entry level copy of Sensation One is definitely
Let's see.
um,
So I've got AF-15 sitting at the top, and then Sensation 1. Man, yeah, like getting into a Sensation 1 for under 30. I mean, it seems like I don't know. Actually, I haven't looked at the pricing for that. I don't know how much that book goes for offhand.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean that's one of the interesting things in this auction has been the AF-15s, because there isn't a really high grade one. The highest grade yesterday was or again Thursday was a 6.5,
mm,
and that one actually did pretty well. Let me see. I think I have yeah. So it was
yeah, definitely kind of
91152.
looked like it had a little nice little bounce back.
Yeah, so it was this copy here, which is a great looking copy. I mean, it's got this little chip in the corner
Yeah,
and that, but a great looking copy. And I had it going for 105, and it went for 114. And it's like, so right now I feel like anytime you're getting sales that are around where you expected, or even a little above when it's not golden age, like silver, bronze,
yeah,
modern, that's it's a little bit of a surprise. It's like we're starting to get to that stability area. I mean, one of the ones that surprised me quite a bit, because I was expecting it to actually take a pretty big drop, was this one that J. Scott Campbell,
oh
X-Men
yeah,
510. This set a new record. I mean,
yeah,
the prior record was 12,500. It crushed that record. And so, I mean, not everything, like you see a lot of people going like everything's dropping and that. It's like not everything. Like there
yeah,
are
definitely
definitely
not.
some books that don't. I thought it might go for 9, because everything else just kind of seemed to be trending down, especially with the modern variants. And but yeah, definitely
Yeah,
not with this one.
this one and some of the other J. Scott Grails and the Spider Island book. Those definitely seem to be the true kind of we'll call them the modern Grails. You know, unlike
I'd like to see another one of that Spider Island, what is it, 667 or something like that, come up in a 9.8 again, because there hasn't been one for a little while, since basically when Ultimate Fallout 4 was going for like 40 grand. That's when it was the last one sold. So
it's one of those, like, yeah, if you're a holder of that, you know, you just sort of hope, like, you know, the longer the time horizon stretches out, like, the probably less significant the drop, if there's going to be a drop, would be.
Yeah. So let's see. I think they maybe are. See if they're starting here. Yeah, they've already. Yep, they just opened up. So we've got the, you know, just do the disable just so I don't accidentally like bid on something, you know, because.
Have you ever accidentally bought a book?
I have unintentionally bought a book before, and now it was one I was planning to bid on, but it's that thing where, like, a lot of times, you know, what people do is, you know, if you're not familiar with Heritage, you've got this bid button, and then when it gets within 5 seconds of it ending, it starts doing this countdown, and you try to do the little like thing where you just throw in a bid at the end to mess with someone, and someone else does it like a second before you, and you click right afterwards, and then now you've bid more than you wanted to, and then you're just praying that that somebody tries to bid back, and it doesn't always happen. So at that point, you got to accept it. You have now purchased that book. Like sometimes I'll send a message to you guys where I'm like, I guess I own this now.
Right.
So it, you know, it happens, but yeah, I mean, there's somebody commented about the New Compass Collectibles, about, I mean, it's just some of the stuff that's in this auction. I mean, like, the early actions, the early detectives, and then that insane run of Planet Comics. I mean, there's just so much stuff that is in these auctions, you know, every 5-6 weeks. I don't know where they find it.
Like, who, I mean, is it I wonder if they just, there's got to be some collectors that maybe just have their accounts always sort of active. I'm sure, like, you've maybe been asked about this, right? Like, you can have some of your books. I mean, is it as easy as like, hey, Heritage remembers what books you've bought, and they can relist for you pretty easily, that sort of thing?
They have that capability that's built in, where you can like reset like their market, and you can resell, like, they're like, you'll see after somebody has won a book, or has you'll see like an option to purchase it directly from them if you wanted, and it's like you have some percentage of the price more than that. And I used to have that turned on, but I ended up turning it off because I always got just like lowball offers. And then the thing that was frustrating was you had to respond to it. It's like built in, where it's like, if you didn't respond, then they would say like, we'll remove you from this, you know, this service. And so I was like, I'm just going to turn it off. I don't want to deal with it. But I mean, that's how someone won the, well, let's find that one, that Suspense 3. Where is it? Let me see here. So that Suspense 3 that went for a little over 50, that's 91133.
Yeah. You do have your bidding turned on at the moment, by the way.
Oh, I turned it back. Oh yeah, I turned it back on. Yeah, well, there we go. So 91133. So if you're not familiar with this book, I did do a short about this one. This is this Alex Schomburg cover, considered, you know, the biggest Alex Schomburg cover. This one, you can see I had put in a bid of 18,000 early on, which I knew wouldn't win this book. But this is a 1.5, went for 51,600, and you can see what that book sold for very recently. And it was, so we go Suspense Comics number 3, and I don't think it got pulled into GPA, but it did get pulled into Go Collect. It wasn't a auction sale. It was a sale through Heritage, through their that direct buyer program.
Right.
And I think I mean, when I saw this book sell, I was like, oh my God, I would have bought that. Like, I didn't realize it was even available. And somebody paid, you know, is this one here? Yeah. Someone paid 20 grand. And then this was, October 2022, sold for 51.6. And not only that, it looks like they tried to maybe like press it.
Yeah.
And it ends up in this magazine case.
They got it.
So much worse. Yeah. It
looks so much better.
Yeah. I bet they were not happy about that. But I mean, they still sold it for 51,000. So I don't know.
Yeah, they can't be.
They really are.
I guess that's the lesson. You know, it's if you just ask, you know, you knock around, and I don't know if that person had their listing active, but maybe, you know, just slid into the DMs and someone was willing to let it go for 20.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably someone that bought. I mean, look how much this was 15 years ago,
Right.
$6,000. You know, for all we know. Oh, yeah, and it was the same book. For all we know, it was that buyer.
Right.
And they had it in there, and someone offered them 20, and they're like, "Oh, I just tripled my money." When in reality, they could have 10x'd their money. But yeah, like you just don't even think about it. And so maybe I got to start like going through the heritage.
Yeah. I've had a couple original art friends, you know, I mean, this is true of anything, but they just say like, "Oh man, you just got to slide into people's DMs all the time with original art," because even if they say it's not for sale, you know, if you just start to ask like, "Hey, would you ever consider letting it go?" You know, that's how a lot of the deals are made.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've told anybody outside of like chats though, but like I sold my Tech 36 recently, and it was because somebody reached out directly. I didn't have it for sale.
Right.
You know, but they were interested in it, and they reached out, and I was like, I will sell it, but this is what I'd sell it for. And we were able to come to a deal. And, you know, I mean, I've sold a number of my, you know, like my not for sale or PC books, but if somebody comes at you with the right number, I'll sell it, because then I can go buy more stuff. Like, so yeah. I mean, I've mentioned that before. Like, I mean, my general goal with collecting is just, I think I said it was like to buy cool stuff. And so it's just kind of fun buying cool stuff, and I can only buy cool stuff if I sell stuff. So
yeah. Sometimes it's, you know, you want to hold it for a time, because the sad truth is, I mean, I don't know, maybe everyone is going to get buried with their comics, but we're only shepherds for a time with each comic.
I mean, some people, I mean, I watch the comic book collecting subreddit. There are definitely people that they say they're going to be buried with their comics. so it's possible, you know, it's possible. I mean, like this feels like a big number. So this is an LB Cole cover, All Famous Police Cases 11. Let's look that one up. It's at 2,400. Yeah, because I have a lower grade copy of that one. That's why it jumped out to me. But like
2,200 for the 6.0 just closed.
So where'd it finish then? So it finished at 2,280. And all right, so 6.0. I mean, the 5.5 sold in 2022 for 1,200. So, I mean, I'm guessing the 7.0 might be, maybe 7.0 is like top of census or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it feels like a pretty strong sale. Let's see. So 2 and 7.0, 2 higher. So top is just an 8. You know, one of those books that you just don't have. You don't have all that much, you know.
How do you feel about this? This is a cool cover right here with a Schomburg one.
There are a bunch of really cool covers for All Select. Now, the interesting thing with this is like seeing that it's this feed store collection. That means that's something somebody bought very recently, because that feed store collection got sold in like November of last year, and they've already decided they're like flipping this thing. So I bet we can find that sale. All Select 4.
The All Select books it's kind of a fun way to you know, if you want to just kind of get all of the timely characters on one cover, Schomburg cover, it's kind of like a bang for your buck.
It is really the best way to get that. So let's see. So it went for $38.40 for a 4.0. And so yeah, that's a big drop. So here it is. So it's November 2023, 52.80. I guarantee it's the same book. Yeah, feed store collection. And so they took a haircut on that one.
I mean, but that's one of those things where you know, we've talked about when you kind of have like the thematic sales together, like, oh, it's the feed store collection sale, or it's the Matt Baker sale, or it's the, you know, Schomburg sale, or whatever it is. Like, you bring out those people. So typically the numbers seem to go higher. And now when it's I agree. Now when it's like this book is just sort of one amongst many, it's like you don't have that same concentration.
And it's also one of those things where I've talked about that with these stickers. You know, like it's become this thing that the auction houses seem to do, is they like classify these things as collections. And I've even had people in the comments tell me, they're like, "Oh, that's a pedigree." And I'm like, "No, not a pedigree. If you sent that book in to CGC to get recased, it's just an all select 4 now.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't carry over. CGC doesn't have a bunch of those stickers they're slapping on those things for you. You know, it is something, it's a marketing ploy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, I don't hold anything against it. Like it's a marketing ploy,
Yeah.
but like, you got to know that's what it is when you're bidding.
I mean,
yeah,
it gives,
like when they
it
sell
gives a
together, they
little,
sell for more.
yeah, it gives a little, you know, there's a little story behind every book, you know, who owned it or what the history is. And there's a little spirit in there, but yeah, it's not a pedigree. It's definitely a sticker.
Now the feed store one, at least, like I think that was one that the person who found it was on the comic book collecting subreddit, and I think he was getting a lot of it, like getting a lot of advice from people on what he should do and how he should sell it. And so, I mean, I think it was like his grandfather's or something that they found, and so that one to me is a little cooler. It's kind of like the Bobby Blue type collection, you know. But there are some where it's just somebody's collection, you know. It doesn't really have, to me, that much of a story behind it. But
all right, the Archie book sold
8,400 for a 1/8 for a married cover 1/8. I mean, that sounds about right. I mean, I think a 2.0 or a 2.5 had sold recently for like 20,000 or 18,000. So a 1/8 going, you know, with married cover. I mean, that's like 50%, you know, or so. Like that seems about right to me.
Yeah.
So,
it's a good way.
It's a decent looking book.
Yeah. I don't mind these types of things when it's like, yeah, it's married cover or whatever. It's so tough to get your hands on a book like that it doesn't really bother me.
The thing that people can do with those, it's like what I did with my Superman 2. It's a married cover. And if you really wanted, you know, you send it to someone like Sanderson Studios, and you have them leaf cast on the cover so that you can reattach it. And now it's a conserved cover. And so you get the blue label, which it'll still say married, but visually, you know, you don't have the green label, because a lot of people don't like the green label or the purple label or whatever. And you can get that blue and gray, which looks, I mean, it matches your universals.
Right. Do you have a rule of thumb for value conserved to qualified percentage?
I mean, I would say it's probably pretty similar. It's just that maybe your buyer pool increases a little bit when you get to the blue label versus the green. So it might be a little easier to sell, but it depends on what the reason is for the qualified. But if it's like a married cover, I mean, I'd say 50-60% is probably a pretty reasonable number off of the I mean, like for like Hulk 181, when they're missing the Marvel value stamp, I often see about 60%.
Yeah.
Up until you get to like a super high grade, but yeah.
It's Batman time. You know, the detectives did really well outside of 27, or at least that the couple other ones that went.
That's been one of the really interesting things that I've seen, is that it's a weird split, because I've seen detectives doing really well, and I've seen Batman's not doing as well, you know? And I mean, part of it might be it's the same reason I generally like detectives more than Batman's, is that now there's exceptions. Like I love the cover for Batman 3, love the cover for Batman 4 and 6 and 9. But a lot of the Batman covers are more cartoony. They feel like they were targeted more towards like little kids, versus detectives, which feel like they're maybe targeted a little more towards like older kids. They seem like they have like little grittier covers, maybe grittier stories, and as opposed to Batman. And maybe that's why, I don't know, but it's something I've generally seen, that techs have been super strong, and you would think that means Batman's would be strong, but it's been kind of the opposite. But
I guess there's just a little bit more prestige with the detective and similarly the action comics compared to like the Superman ones, you know, like even if they are starting around the same time, it's like, you just kind of know that that's the OG run. So, but I do like that it says Batman on the title, you know, so there's something to that as well. But you know, it's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, these are some nice books, like a 7.0. Like, I mean, I sold I had a Promise collection 6.5, and I sold that one recently. And I love this cover. I think it's a super cool cover. It's got that really neat like pinstriping.
Yeah, I
on
like
the cover.
that too.
And now one of the books that really underperformed in the auction earlier this week, because I see one coming up, was the Batman 11. That one surprised me. Because I think it was a White Pages copy too, which usually at Heritage, like White Pages is like guaranteed money. It's like,
Right.
it's like printing money.
You know what's funny about this book, and this is just my own personal preference. That was definitely a book that at one point I was like, oh yeah, but that'd be cool to own. I would definitely want to pick it up. Maybe it was kind of in the back of my mind. And shout out to Jake in the Spec Tales podcast. I remember he asked me this one question when I was on his shows, and he said, "Has there ever been a book that like you thought you wanted it, and then when you saw it in person, you were like, eh, you know?" And I didn't have a good answer for that, but that was Batman 11 to me. Like
and I don't know if we've talked about this, because that is exactly the experience I had with it.
Is it?
Yeah, because my buddy Mark, I went over to his place, and because he has a really nice set of books and everything. We were checking out books and just hanging out, and one of the books he had was a Batman 11, and I saw, like, before that I was like, that's one of the books I'm going to get. That's like the Joker book that I want, other than Detective 69. And I saw it in person. I was like, yeah. Like, it's just something about it. I don't know.
It's something about it. I don't know. Like it's because the cover's so white and it's hard to find. Like this high res image that you have right here is probably like the best version of that. And I don't know if it's going to look as nice in person. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. There's something about this book that, like, when I see it in person, it just doesn't pop the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a White Page copy. Like I said, I mean, it's going to be about as good as you're going to hope for. And I mean, it's a nice looking 5.5. It looks like maybe it's got a little staining down in the bottom.
It's a really nice looking.
And it's in the normal slab. A lot of times this book ends up in a magazine case.
Right.
And I know that bugs some people.
So this is interesting right here. You have this 6.5 restored that's up for sale right now. That's going to finish around $9,000. So
is it really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, so, almost as much as the 5.5.
Yeah, there you go. 8,800 essentially.
That's crazy. What was the resto on it? Let's see. Tear seals to centerfold reinforced, slight C1. So in theory, this can be removed. It could be tricky sometimes with like centerfold reinforced. They could be like they globbed a bunch of glue or something on there basically. And I remember I had one before that was kind of like a restored type book like that, and I took the black light and you lit it up, and because I remember when I bought it I was like, maybe I can have this stuff removed, and I was like, no. It would just destroy this book.
That's always the dream though, right? Like everyone has the fantasy of like, I get the 6.5, I'm gonna get the store remove and it's gonna come back a 6.0, but like it just I there's no way to know, but I bet the success to fail percentages is not in your favor.
Yeah, I think you really have to be able to recognize, like, and for pressing, I'm very good at identifying what I can press up, but like restoration, I'm not super confident on what can be like, because I'm not a restoration expert. I can identify it, but then like what damage is going to be done if you try to take this stuff off. If it's just a little color touch, that one's pretty simple. But once you start getting to things like reinforcement, I'm always a little bit more hesitant about it. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely like we've talked about this, like the people who do the restoration removal, they sell those success stories,
Yeah, for sure.
It's like,
for sure,
this was a 4.0 AF15 purple, now it's a 5.0 blue, and you're like, what the hell is
that's what I want to see. I want to see a resto Instagram account show their losses. Just go like, I lost 2 points on this one.
Well, I mean, one of the guys that was posted on Instagram about his resub attempts, he ended up his presser had tried some of the, the lightning or whatever cleaning and got some purple labels back, and I mean, it happens and it's a big loss when it does. I mean, you're cutting your value at least in half, if not more than that. And you paid to have it done. You know, it's like, it's even more like a little more insult to injury on those, but yeah, it's a gamble.
Quickly going back to these Batman things, I feel like this I don't know off the top of my head, but this Batman 9 sale, that's a 6.0 white pages, that feels cheap to me.
Let's see. Maybe I should have bid on it. 6.0 white pages. 6,600 feels cheap.
That feels cheap.
But I think there was one that maybe went lower than I thought in the first part of the auction. Let's see if there was one that sold earlier. So there was a 6.0.
Because I think it's a book that I've always wanted to own, and so I know that the buy-in is usually around like $4 or $5 grand.
So let's see, Batman number 9. Because I mean, for me, that's probably my favorite cover from the early.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It doesn't really have anything key with it. I mean, I think it's like the first Christmas story. It's like if that's something for you, but yeah, I mean, last sale 7,800. A 5.5 went for 48. A 5.0 48. There's a lot of price compression on this book.
Okay,
like around here, but 66 feels like a good pickup.
I mean, it just seems like you got a really nice 6.0 copy. It's white pages. Yeah, you know, maybe that's the right price, but that seems like a nice buy too.
And it's a good looking book. Like a lot of times you'll get really big miswraps on this one. And like my first copy I had of this book had that was Batman 3. My Batman 3 had the worst miscut I'd ever seen in a comic. I mean, it was probably like a half inch, maybe a little more, like of the back cover into the front. And I was one of the main reasons I got it graded, because it was a 0.5, it was missing pages, but I wasn't sure if it was trimmed. It was such a weird cut that I was just like, I need to get this graded so that I wasn't comfortable selling it raw and saying like if it was trimmed or not. And so when I'm not certain about things like that, then I'll just get them graded. And it came back, universal. I mean, Golden Age, you get some weird cuts in these books.
True.
But yeah, let's see. So yeah, I mean, you can get this some high grade run filler.
Oh
Batman,
man.
It's your favorite. It's Golden Age run filler, I guess, but but those go for a lot. That's one of those things. If you can come across like high grade Batman run filler for whatever reason, like if you're near the top of the census, like some huge numbers, I think it's people that are putting together those registry sets are probably competing for it.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the last, handful of books. Yeah. 3,600, 4,300, 2,100, 2,800. It's like, that's crazy. Like a lot, you can get some really nice key comics for those types of numbers, but yeah, like you said,
this one's still going, it's almost
people got to have the best, top of registry stuff.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, let's see. So, because it's a little bit, I think, until there's something I'm a little more interested in. What were some of the books maybe that jumped out to you in that opening auction?
Yeah, well, we talked about the Detective 27. I think some of the other interesting ones to talk about were like the Marvel Comics one. There were two of them. And two of them. Yeah, I only spoke about the one actually, and shout out to Keston. He actually made a comment on my video saying, that the restored one actually sold really well.
Yeah, it did. And so that's the interesting thing. On my sheet, I have them marked as like I highlighted them in red for low sales and green for high. And the restored one crushed my estimate. It sold for 228,000. I had it going for 150. I know it was an October copy, which is better, but that was still a strong sale.
What was the resto on it?
It was
because is that another one where somebody was selling the dream kind of thing?
I don't think so. I don't think this one could get back because it was cleaned. And so in theory, you can't. Now I know there are some restoration people that say they can undo that. So I don't know, but maybe they can. But it's an A3, so there's a decent amount.
Yeah.
But maybe if you can get that thing, whatever the cleaning was, to not get identified, then you can
maybe there's just, when you're buying this and say this is like a centerpiece for you, or you have the money to get it, and you just want something that looks nice. You're sort of not really so concerned with the resto at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, now I know just because I'm talking to a couple people that are looking at trying to get a Marvel Comics one. Like, I mean, the October copies are they definitely go for a premium. I think it's
That's
1
true.
in
Yes.
10 or something like that. It was like, I think what I heard was like 30,000. Maybe they have it in the description. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They have it down here. They have a 10 to 1. And so I believe it was something like 30,000 that were the October, and then it's all sold out. And then they printed like 300,000 of the November. Now, granted, they're still super rare. You know, you don't see them come up, but you see the October's less.
That's a really good point. I do. There's definitely the prestige there. It's just like sort of like the the Starling Terror.
Oh, the black label
the
versus
black
the
and
blue
blue.
label.
There's a little bit of a premium, so that makes sense. You know why someone would want this one.
Yeah, and it's one of those books. It's weird. Like, I'd like to own one, but I also don't like the cover art. like when I look at that guy,
yeah, you know,
it's not the best. Like, this is around the same time that you have like Tech 31. You know, Suspense 9 was later. You know, like, I mean, you have, I mean, Action 1, like this is around that same time. This is 1939. Like, there are skilled cover artists
for sure.
Time period, and that guy's face just, it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Well,
it's still, it is an interesting book as far as like what it represents relative to some of the other things that you would be buying, you know, where it's like a first appearance of a, you know, premier superhero. Like, it's a different thing, but it's still very cool.
You're buying it for the name.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, it's like, it's that Marvel one. It's timely one, basically. And, but now, just because I can see it up here, this one definitely blew my mind a little bit. I was not expecting this. So this is National Comics number 7. It's a Lou Fine cover, who I'm not a Lou Fine fan, but I know a lot of people are. And but it's the Edgar Church pedigree. Now, the interesting thing is this was a 9.6. So it's one of the, it got pressed up, you know, and so National Comics number 7. And that's where it's really tough to tell, like, is it going to actually go for a lot more? You know, I think the 9.6 was an old 9.6. It sold in like the early 2000s. Let's see. Oh yeah, 2007. It sold for about 12 grand. But I mean, 78,000. That's a big jump. Especially when you've got I mean, look at these lower grades. I mean, they're selling for like 1,000 a point. And then this one, it's like 78 grand. I mean, this, like, for a Lou Fine cover, it's a pretty cool cover. I like the background imagery. My problem with Lou Fine is I don't like how he draws people. And so that's always what throws me off.
It's very, very thin lines, and the people are very, like, kind of, I don't mean this in a mean way. They're a little more gangly. They're skinny.
Well, yeah, I call them sinewy. You know, like it's like a sinewy person. And, you know, like, I don't like the way it looks. It doesn't appeal to me. But I do like that background image. I mean, that's pretty cool. This, like, whatever that boat ship tank.
I'm gonna one day I'll get you the fencing shark one for your birthday one day. your favorite cover.
Yeah. I mean, then they had this 8.5 Planet One. Now, the weird thing with that one is it said that this was it was formerly the Toledo pedigree, but I didn't realize the Toledo pedigree wasn't a pedigree anymore. Yeah, it says collection formerly known as the Toledo pedigree, which I thought was an official pedigree, but it clearly isn't. You know, it's not identified on the label or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there were a couple Planet Comics. There was a 7.0 of number 1. There was this 8.5. I mean, yeah, just books you don't get a chance to see too often.
Yeah.
Now, this one, this cover is always wild to me. I used to own a very low grade copy. This was actually the book that taught me about what are they called? Half sheets. I did a video on them a little while ago, where if you're going through Golden Age books and you're flipping through the pages, and, you know, if you go to, say, like comics.org, and it says like, oh, there should be 60 pages or 52 pages or whatever, and you get to the centerfold and you weren't halfway there, and you immediately think like, oh crap, like somebody removed a page or something's going on. And then you keep counting and you end up at the right number, and you're like, what is going on? It's because they'll have these half sheets that are inserted, which is only one page, and then it just has like a little folded lip of paper on the other side. And so you get these like weird or these weird page counts. And you'll often, when you're flipping through, if you happen to see it, you'll think, oh God, somebody cut out a page there. But it's these half sheets. You only see them in the golden age. It was something to save paper. But this one definitely has them, because it's what threw me off when I was doing my page counts on it. At first I thought the book had somebody had swapped around the pages or something, or somebody cut something out and reinserted something else, but it was fine. So yeah.
That's interesting. That's something I didn't know.
But we got a comment here. Reinforcing a cover. No way to get rid of that truly. Looks like two bidders wanted the book and restored with second place versus the other copy of Marvel 1. It's a very important historical book. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen people get rid of reinforcement, especially A type. Now, so because I'd say it depends on the restoration type, because this one said A, which means professional. And I thought with professional, you're effectively supposed to be able to remove it, without additional damage to the book. I thought that's for the most part the qualifier of professional. Like if you were going to remove the color touch, you can actually remove that without, it's like they use that acrylic or whatever, and you can remove it without damaging the book. Unlike like Sharpie, where they have to cut out pieces. And so I thought that's what it was, but I'm not an expert on that kind of stuff. So
it kind of feels like, when I talk to people about stuff, it's like, it's just one of those things, like anything is possible and not anything is possible. Everything sort of is case by case.
Were there any, you bidding on any Captain Americas in this one? Are you secretly over there bidding on anything?
No, because these are not the ones that I would have. And I think if I did bid on them, my computer would crash.
Oh, God. I still can't believe that.
I cannot believe that. It sounds like something that just like, what? But like is happened. I'll tell people really quickly. I was trying to bid on a Captain America book on a Comic Link. What was that? Maybe 3 weeks ago? Was that sale or
something like that?
Something like that. They had their big auction, and there was a cap I wanted really badly. And when I went to bid on it, my computer crashed, and I was very, very sad because it sold for less than what I would.
I assumed you won it because I think I messaged and I was like, "Oh, did you win this one?" And you're like, "My computer crashed." I was
oh my God. I literally, I was sad. We're gonna never talk about it again.
Yeah. But yeah, so some of the other, like, while these are working their way through, I mean, if you're not familiar with this one, this is, an L.B. Cole, one of his most popular covers, like sci-fi covers.
The sci-fi one, yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, already at 7,800. I don't know what a 7.5 goes for. Let's I didn't price any of these out ahead of time, so Captain Arrow number 26. Yeah, I priced out all those big books in that first part, but I didn't. I thought about doing these, and I was just like, I don't have.
Yeah, we'll do them on the fly. What were some of the other big ones that you kind of found interesting stories with? I mean, there's the Superman one, the Cap ones. There's the Matt Baker.
Yeah, the Cap one, I felt like there were mixed opinions on that one, because it. Let's see. I think it actually a record. It tied the record. So
it's a really nice copy. I didn't look at the,
but it's a white pages.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, I'm not a page quality guy, but I can still understand generally how that can impact prices. And especially on Heritage, it tends to have a pretty significant impact on prices. A lot of Heritage bidders seem to really care about page quality. Said like Brittle does terrible on Heritage. White usually does really well. And we can take a look at the graders notes. Let's see here. So staple reattached with tape, top front cover, bottom spine, small spine split, bottom staple centerfold detached, bottom staple front cover detached, spine wear, light crease in the cover. So a lot of detachment issues.
Yeah.
This one. I'd say the only scary thing with that is that a fully detached cover, unlike what, when you did your Amazing Fantasy 15 video, unlike what the people on Facebook seem to think, it is not a 0.5.
No.
The maximum grade with a fully detached cover is a 4. and I've owned them. I've owned
Yeah.
4s with it.
Oh,
And
I didn't even know it could get a 4. I was thinking 3.
yeah,
But
it was because like what's his name? ETA Nick on his card, he has it as a 3, but I mean, like I said, one of my Marvel mystery comics was a 4 fully detached.
cool.
And
Cool. Yeah.
but that this book only has a single point of attachment, and it sounds like it's like the back cover top staple. So
Yeah.
it could become detached very easily, and then it's a 4 instead of a 5. That could be the fear that someone would have with it.
That's a nice, that's a fair, you know, aspect to why it would have stayed around this price point.
But then we've got but I thought because of the white pages and how nice this one presented, I had this one go, I had it between 225 and 250. So I said like 237 500 and went way below that.
Yeah.
So
you know, the cap one, this is my personal grail book that, you know, if you gave me which one would you want to, well, take the money aspect aside, like you'd have to go Action Comics one. You just would have to. But like,
yep.
This is my personal one that maybe one day. But yeah, it just doesn't. I don't think the cap ones are. They're just not on the same level as some of the other ones. You know.
Well, so from talking to some other people, their theory, what I've been told is that Captain America 1 tends to be more of a U.S. collector book, whereas like Batman Action Comics, Detective Comics is a little more worldwide type book. And that's just the maybe part of why it might be a little more, but it's also quite a bit later. It's kind of like Daredevil 1 versus, you know, X-Men 1 or Fantastic Four 1. It's 3 years later than Action 1. So
yeah, that's true.
Be a little part of it too.
Yeah, the Canadians don't want this book, so yeah.
we'll have to ask Newbie about that if he has any interest in. I mean, he's trying to buy all the Felix the Cat books. So,
well, you know, he's gonna do well with this.
I love this cover. This one's so funny. It's the Cap backhanding Bucky. He's trying to come up with it, you know, when he's going on his date. Yeah. So some of the other ones that really jumped out to me were, well, one was the Fantastic Four #1. I think you might have talked about that one too.
Yeah. That one had a little bounce back.
Yeah. I had it going for 120 and it went for 144. I mean, and part of the reason I thought it might get hurt a little bit was I had talked about this in like a preview video. Like this looked really weird up here. It was just like some weird paper cutting or something like that. It was just, it gave it not the necessarily like the best like visual at that point.
Right. Right. But nobody looks in the right side. They only look in the upper left part.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. But so it was, to me, that was a strong one, especially for Silver Age, like Silver Age big keys that we've been conditioned now for the last 3 years that they only go down.
Right.
And they always disappoint.
Right. Well, I think that's what's kind of interesting. It's like, you know, it's been going down and down and down, to the point where the last sale, it was April of 21. So that was technically the height of the market, you know, or height of COVID craziness, but it sold for 132 at that time. Actually, the same book, the same exact copy. Now that I look at it.
Oh, it is? Where
it is.
So let's see. When did that one sell?
So April of 2021. So 4/21.
Yeah, there can't be too many, you know, 8.5 sales out there. Actually, more than you'd think, I guess.
Yeah, there was actually a few.
Yeah, that's definitely the same book.
Yeah.
So actually sold for more. That's
sold for more. I mean, we're talking about a pretty bad opportunity cost, you know, that's still 3 years.
But I mean, a lot better than that guy.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, like 350. Oof. But it's got that CVA sticker, you know.
It does. It's true.
Instantly worth like twice as much.
So, but I think it's interesting because it's like, I feel like with a lot of the Silver Age or Bronze Age keys and stuff, like there's been enough sales now that have gone lower to where it's like, all right, it went back down to its pre-craziness prices. Mm-hmm. So now we're kind of what this sale maybe shows me is it's like, yeah, we're kind of, you're finally finding that point where it's like, all right, this is too low,
Yeah.
or like someone is going to be willing to spend money at that point.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of books seem like they've leveled off, but there are definitely some that are still pretty high. Like I was talking about that in a recent video about Daredevil 131. For whatever reason, that book is still at prices from like 2022.
Yes.
It's just like,
And I would be
it's still
scared.
going.
I would be scared of that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's what I said. I was like,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't buy it. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just like, unless a book has come back down to those levels, I'm afraid of owning that book at those prices. But yeah, so let's see. Another one that I'll say now, I'll say one I thought disappointed, but after I watched your video, I kind of agree that it probably is more around what it should go for, was the Wiz Comics #2.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you probably have a good sense. I mean, that was just the one thing that stood out to me, but who knows?
I mean, just because they sell so rarely in this type of grade, I was thinking, what did I have? I had it at 350 to 400.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it seemed very low. I mean, it had that one big sale of like 390 for, I think, like a 6.0.
Yeah.
But that was around when The Rock was going to be remaking, DC and all that. And so it's kind of like what happened with Wonder Woman, and so maybe this was like a good pickup for someone, because Wonder Woman books like Wonder Woman 1, Sensation 1, All-Star 8, those books really were weak for a while, but we've had a couple strong All-Star 8 sales now.
Yeah.
We had that 1.0 on
that one bounced back for sure.
It was like 90,000, I think, for the 6.0, and we had the 1.0 sell on eBay for like 15.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that book is maybe, I mean, and I was talking with someone in a chat that I was saying, like, for those mega grails like that, I mean, when they look like they're giving you discounts, if you can afford them, that's probably the time to buy them. I mean, like that Tech 27, there's no way I will say at that price that was a bad buy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a fantastic buy, in my opinion, to get a Tech 27 that, at $500,000 off its price from 2 years ago.
And I got to say, I mean, even the All-Star 8, the 1.0, it sold for 15 grand. I mean, that seems like still a good buy. I mean, it's first Wonder Woman. 15 grand doesn't seem that bad.
I mean, I was thinking it was going to go for like 12 to 13. But 15 is not unreasonable, I mean, especially because it was a good looking copy. And they're loving your setup back there.
Yeah. This is still very, very temp, guys. This is just no thought put into this, and I'm still transitioning. So
I like that you did put the
I
sign up there.
Yeah, it's all crooked because I have to like hang it better because there's only some perforated areas to put it up, so that's why it's kind of slanted the other way. But yeah, I just threw it up. I was like, all right, here's the one little flare that'll be behind me for now.
But speaking of the All-Star 8, this is a fantastic looking copy too.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's really deep colors. I'm about 90 grand. I think that was let me see if that was a record. Prior record was 66. I had it going for 72. I think that 66 was might have been a slightly brittle or something like that on Heritage, which doesn't help things. But yeah, I mean, there's no denying, like, whenever you're hitting a record, like, especially with books that have sold within the last couple of years, it's a strong sale.
What about the first Robin sale? Did you? I didn't.
That one went almost exactly what I thought it would go for.
Okay.
So let's see. So 91064. I had that one going for 95, and it went for 90. I mean, that's one bid at this price. And I wasn't sure how this was going to hurt it.
The little scuff up there. Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's a scuff. I think someone was trying to erase this 100.
Oh.
And there's like, oh, it's ink. And now I just made this thing look like garbage.
My God.
Oh, God, like, that hurts. That really hurts to see it. Like,
because it's such a nice copy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's a 5.0 in the upcoming Comic Connect auction. I'd rather have the 5.0 because that would, I mean, it's a cool book. It's a 7.5 first Robin, Tech 38. But I mean, let's see, let's go to Comic Connect. So we've got Comic Connect here. Always, I don't want to use their search. Their search is always difficult. So let's see where that one would probably be selling here. Which, oh man, I'm so interested in seeing what the that X-Men Giant Says X-Men goes for.
What's it? Be... I'll let you search. I'm curious what it's sitting at right now.
I think it's at like 80.
Okay.
I think when I checked maybe yesterday, and I thought it was around 80.
So it's at least gonna it's gonna set the new personal best for the book.
Guaranteed. So yeah, there's this one. This is that, and I'm guessing this picture just maybe isn't very good. I don't know if it's that dark or not.
Right.
But yeah, sitting at 30. I mean, yeah, I'd buy that all day for 30. I know multiple people that I'm sure are going to be bidding on that one. But I mean, I'd kind of rather have this one than the 7.5.
Yeah, the little eraser thing.
Yeah, but yeah, let's check the giant size. So that one, I think it's going the last day, almost right at the end. That's we were talking about that before. It threw me off at first. I thought maybe it got pulled.
Yeah, you have to search X-Men,
but they put it at the end of the X-Men books. So they called it X-Men Giant Size. So yeah, it's 87 right now, which I think is a little higher than it was before, but well below what I think it will go for.
Yeah,
I think my original thought was like 300, but I think I've said I wouldn't be surprised at 500. I mean, it's
same.
I just don't know.
But I wonder now, what does the Heritage auction, this auction, tell us about
the super big
where
books?
People are with those high 6-figure spenders, you know?
Mm-hmm. They're all buying original art. Apparently.
Yeah. But I guess you could say, you know, if this has the one of one aspect, you know, maybe someone is wild enough to go for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like original art then. You know?
Yeah.
But
the Chamber 19 sold 10.5. It's pretty.
So 10,500 for a 3.0. That feels. I mean, like 5.0 or 5.5s were going for like 17, something like that.
Yeah,
so
I think it's a little higher than maybe the last sale. This was one that I was also looking at. But
you didn't win this one.
Well, it was like my Captain America budget. I was like, oh, should I just go here? And I was like, I don't want. I mean, I'd love to buy it, but I was like, I'm not gonna. What is it called? Like cry my money away into another book.
Yeah, so yeah, we've got the comment here. Yeah, 87 current bid on the Giant Size X-Men 1. So Swaghouse, how much do you think a Marvel Mystery 3 coverless is worth?
I think Brian, you might have a better answer to that, but I think if we went to GPA and
coverless are always tricky.
Yeah,
it's kind of like what you have to do with coverless is you almost have to look at what if you can find what a married book would go for, you know. So you kind of look at like if there are any qualifieds that have sold, which there aren't, and are there any restored? Let's see, restored. And so I mean, I would like a 0.5 going for 886, a 5.5 like complete here going for 7,800. I mean, I would think probably $1,000 to 1,500 at the top end. You know, that would probably be my take on it, because it's, to me, that one doesn't have as much value in the book itself. There are certain books that you can piece out the pages. Like we joked about the selling pages in that one auction where somebody had pieced out a bunch of early Captain Americas, and they were going for like $50 a piece. Like if it's not a key book, the pages aren't necessarily going to go for that much. And so it's more about what you can potentially turn it into. And so I would think, you know, maybe if you were able to find a cover for a couple grand and you had that one, maybe that's a $3,000 or $4,000 book in that state. And so that's how you can maybe come up with those numbers, but that's how I'd approach it.
Yeah. Book I didn't talk about that might be good to circle on is the More Fun 52.
Let's see. I think I priced that one. How did I think that one did? Let me see. I had it. So yeah, I had it going for 80. It went for 90.
Yeah.
So
This is one that I think, I mean, I think that the Spectre is just cool, but like this is one that you see a lot of the more fun comics go for sale. But yeah, it's been a while, or this one feels like it doesn't go quite up as much.
and it's got the sticker.
It's got the sticker. That explains the extra 10 that you didn't factor in.
Value. I mean, my problem, and I know I get hate from people on this, is I don't like the covers. Like, I like Bernard Bailey. His PCH work is some of the best cover artwork of the Golden Age, but I do not like his Spectre covers. So it's just like, I mean, I would love to see James Gunn like utilize the Spectre. Something that feels like a character he would use.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's like kind of has like a cosmic Doctor Strange.
And I think it's just like he seems to like obscure stuff, you know, things that like the average person isn't going to know much about. And it feels like something. But
I was actually just looking at it. Yeah, this book hasn't gone on sale since 2022, so it's been a year and a half.
What grade sold for that?
So the last blue label was an 8.5 that sold for $264K.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where it's like,
oh, I see the same 3.0 book with the QS sticker sold for 95. So it actually sold for less.
Actually dropped a little bit. Oh yeah, 95.4. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like you might think that the 8.5 would go for more than that, but it's like, how much does somebody want to spend on the Spectre? You know, that's always the question. Totally. Like you start this stuff you start competing with when you're hitting hundreds of thousands of dollars is there's a lot. Yeah, well, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and especially when you like, okay, this same exact copy, and this is something like I almost feel like is worth. You could do a whole video on this. Is like the same exact copy sold in March of 22. So whoever bought this was either a dealer, like, and maybe they had it on their wall and they were thinking like, okay, they could get a little bit out of it. But it's been on their wall for 2 years and they're like, you know what, I want to free up some capital and deploy it elsewhere. Like, and it's sort of like, but you were one of the people that got it up to 95. So like you took yourself out of the equation when you went to sell it. So now like, you know, like how many people were actually going for this book at that time, you know? So it's very interesting, you know, that whole aspect to it.
I gotta say, it always feels like Comic Connect ramps up the what do you call it? Blanking on the phrase, but
like, you mean the 3-minute bid sort of thing? Like
no, like the colors. Like look at the colors.
No. Like tinfoil hat, Ryan.
Like even look at like, because I usually use the CGC label as the reference point.
That's the way to do it for sure.
And it's like, look at those labels.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like
feels like the saturation has been.
That's right. Saturation. That was the word. It's like I feel like saturation's turned up a little bit.
It does feel like that is the case. Yeah.
But yeah, because you at first glance you would not necessarily think that was the same book, but it's definitely the same book.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think what are some of the other ones I marked as. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That is continuing, and I know Como hates that I talk about the fall of this book, but it has continued to trend down.
Yeah,
I mean, I had this one at 115, and I thought I was being like hurting it some because of the off-white to white pages, because I think the last sale was like 126 or 125 or 87. Like now granted, that is still very high historic, and that's what I was saying in our chat. Like it's not like this is a low sale historically. It's just that this was a $250,000 book at one point.
Right. I will say, so I'm not a page quality snob by any stretch, but like when you have a 9.8 and it has off-white to white, that really does bother me.
And it's copper, you know, like copper to, you know, it's like it's new enough that I feel like you get people being picky, especially when they're spending $100,000. I mean, it's not like this is cheap. But it is a great looking book. You know, it's got,
Well, it is a little bit interesting, like, because what are some of the sales pre-boom for this? Like you're saying, like,
So it did have one at 90, and I've talked about this one before
okay,
because I remember it was pretty early on when I was getting back into comics and I was watching Comic Tom, and I remember Jeff, like Golden Age Guru, was on there, and he's like, "This sale is insanity!" Like a $90,000 sale, and then it like right after that there was one for like 56, and then it was like off to the races. It was like Comic
okay,
Boom, you know, and it was just like hit that 242 or 245 or something.
right. So,
Um,
so there is the risk of 56
Oh
that you
yeah,
can
I think
always,
it could still drop.
yeah,
I
you could
do.
always test that.
Um, yeah, I think that there is definitely risk that this book continues to go down. I mean, yeah, like yeah, this was the because this was that $90,000 sale right
Okay,
here, but then yeah, there's the 52 right afterwards, which
right.
I mean, I think this is like if you look at like you try to like
Yeah,
train
like,
your eye, it's like maybe it's 60, 65,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. If it
Um,
does, if it, I mean, yeah, I suppose 87 is you might be okay. You know, there might be a couple more low sales in the future, but
yeah.
if it stretches out over the next 3 years, maybe you're fine.
I mean, it is one of those books that generally it does go up. I mean, it's a more modern property. There's a lot of people that are still familiar with the turtles and, you know, like the turtles and all that. It's a little bit younger fan base than some of
Yeah,
the other stuff that can be out there for comics. And I mean, I agree. I think 87 probably isn't like a huge risk, but it's not like these ones, you know,
yeah,
186,
yeah,
230, 245, like, but there's some downside. But if this is the type of book, if you're planning on holding this one for 20 years or 10 years or whatever, like I wouldn't even think about it. I'd
yeah.
be happy with it. But
Red
so,
Dust has a question for you.
yeah,
Will
I saw
ASM
that.
300 ever stop dropping? Let's take a look at
Uh,
that one.
I, I don't think it's going to stop yet.
Yeah.
I think it will. I mean, it's
You
still
know,
one of the most in demand books of all time. It's the
yeah,
most graded book of all time, which
yeah.
take
You,
that for what it is. But
this is one of those ones that you've been doing your 9-9 series. I mean, boy oh boy, I can't wait to see the Ryan thumbnail with the ASM 300
when we get one of
99.
these pop up on there, yeah.
Yeah, that one is going to be a spicy one because that's got to be coming.
But yeah, I mean, like it this doesn't feel like it's slowing down, you
Right.
know? Like when you look at this trend and when you look at prior to the comic boom, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
What were the prices?
you've got that, you know, 3,500 is one of the high sales. That could have even maybe been a newsstand or something at that point.
Right.
Because this was going for 2,000, 2,100. There's some up in like the mid twos. I mean, 1,500 there. I mean, like 2020. Let's look at early 2020. I mean, around a $2,000 book then.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it touched 2,000. I don't think it's really going to go below that, but
There's definitely going to be like those, auctions on the Weekly Heritage that is going to touch a 2,000.
mm,
But like, what kind of buy it now prices will have for it? They're probably still going to be whatever the late 2020 going rate was. I would imagine that'll be kind of where it sits for a while.
yeah.
Because like you said, there's always going to be people who want it, and that's
Oh yeah. I mean, when I got back into comics, it was one of the target books I wanted.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it is a great looking book. I never could own it when I was a kid,
yeah,
and it's weird. It's always weird thinking back to what comics you were trying to get when you were younger because they feel like they were really expensive. You know, like
yes,
$1,000 or
yeah,
something. Like that. But then you talk to people that were a little bit older at that point where their memories are a little better than like the kids' memory. And they're like, oh, I was buying those for $50. And I'm like, what the hell? But yeah. And so, but yeah, I never felt like those were achievable books for me when I was a kid.
yeah.
Um, like I never had an ASM 361. Like I had the 362 and the 363, but
Oh,
like
interesting.
361, I never owned.
Yeah, ASM 300. I never owned that one. But I knew what it was when I was a kid, and yeah, that was one that was like I felt like it was never in my comic store. Like it was always like, oh, it's impossible to find this thing.
Yeah. Oh no, it was one of those that I would always be flipping through boxes and it was like the Gap.
Yeah.
Like you're always like, oh, maybe they have one here. They never did. But that's I guess the internet changed all of that. You can find anything.
Yeah.
So there's a question here. New to the live stream, is there a value in low grade books pre-Superman? I came into a Tech 10. Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. Especially pre-Batman techs. Now they aren't worth typically as much as the Batman techs, but not always. I mean, some of those are extremely valuable. I mean, because they're so rare, and you have it doesn't take a lot of people wanting to collect them to have those prices go up.
Right.
I think there was like the Billy Wright Tech 8, I think, sold in this auction. Let's see.
Yeah. There was a Detective 2 and a Detective 7.
Yeah, there was a Billy Wright Detective 8. Well, that was this was in the earlier one. So yeah, 91061. So it's this Billy Wright pedigree. This is one of the more famous covers, like pre-Batman covers, and went for 33.6. Now, the thing the reason I was really watching this one was because there was that huge Comic Connect sale of this book in like a 1.5 or 1.8. It was like 17,000 or something like that, and that one felt ridiculously high to me. So I was interested to see if 17,000 for a 1.8, and so I felt like this was very high, and I was interested to see what this would go for, to kind of tell you if this was high. And to me, it tells you this was high when a 7.5 pedigree, is going for just less than double of a 1.8. Like that was a high number. Now, granted, it's a Detective Comics 8. They usually only come up for sale. This one had 2 this year, but usually you're getting maybe 1 a year if you're lucky. And if somebody's trying to put together a run and you have, or 2 people, they're going to bid until they have it. You got enough money, you don't care.
Right.
But yeah, that to me, that's kind of like, I always look for those confirmation sales, and this did not confirm this 1.8 sale. If it had gone for like 60 or 70, absolutely, but not at 33.
Yeah. There's definitely some value to these books. I mean, admittedly, like maybe the covers aren't like the most amazing. Like people don't like celebrate them as like being like covers that people do collect, but there's always going to be somebody that wants them. That's for sure.
Yeah. And there's so few that it's only doesn't need to be a lot of somebody's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, you referenced the Tech 2. What did that one go for?
Just we're in the current auction right now. We're in the Detective Comics sales now. So
like this is one of the most well-known covers. Yeah. And I mean, it's a 5.0 restored 7,200. I have no idea if that's a good number or not. But yeah, this kind of just to that point of, the question in the chat, they do have value. Definitely.
Yeah. You got your Detective 28, 14.4.
So Comic Journey asks, have you been personally affected or hurt by CGC? And is that why you've been on a mission to expose all the 9, 9s and 10s? No, I haven't. I think like I'm a data person. I'm an analytics person, and I just think it's fun to follow. I don't personally hold anything against CGC for the 9, 9s or 10s. I know some people really have issues with it. But I just think it's fun to follow. It's not something I collect, so I don't really have any skin in the game with 9, 9s and 10s, or even like 9, 8s. I mean, there's a couple 9, 8s maybe like I would like to get in certain books at some point when I start feeling comfortable buying like maybe copper or bronze again. But for right now, it's just like in the golden age, that stuff isn't even on my radar. But
there's a famous quote from a supervillain that I feel like sums up the coverage well, which is, I used to think 9, 9s and 10s were a tragedy. Now I just see them as a comedy.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're you got to laugh about them. Sometimes
you have to laugh. Like it's interesting and it's something to talk about. And certainly people are very passionate about it. But I think it's yeah, you got to treat it with a little bit of humor, and it's happening. So
Yeah.
we'll cover it, talk about it, and see how the market reacts. It's very interesting to watch.
Well, and because I don't have the picture here, so I'll probably put that in some other video. But I had asked the person that about this, and they said it was okay for me to talk about it. Was my video that I put out yesterday about the Spider-Man Silver Edition that had 5 new 9.9s and a 10.0 that were added. After I made the video, apparently, so somebody watched it, and then they knew who had gotten those books, and they messaged their friend that had gotten those books, and he messaged me on Instagram, and he's like, "Hey, I'm the one that got those books back in that submission." It was not like Comic Connect or Heritage, like the speculation is always like one of the big auction houses like got those, and this was just so he had bought a lot of 50 ASM or sorry, Spider-Man's #1 silver editions on Whatnot. I won't say what he paid for it, but a lot of 50 of them, and he's been sending them in about 10 book blocks, and he sent in 40 so far. Of those 40, all but 2 got 9.8 or better. This was the only submission. This was 11 books that hit 9.9s and 10s. He's never had a 9.9 before, never owned like a 10.0 before. He sent me the picture of all of them, like next to each other. It looks pretty cool. Like it's like a whole bunch of those gold label like 9.9, 10 things. And yes, it was just somebody who sent in 11 books and got 5 9.9s and a 10.
And that's important to point that out, because I feel like this is what is consistent amongst all of these things, is that if you have a bunch of copies of the same book and you have the ability to send them in, that's when you're getting the 9.9s and 10s, because and it just so happens that auction houses likely have inventory where they own multiple copies of a lot of these stuff. So that's why it feels like, oh, disproportionately they've been having it. But if you're an individual and you have a bunch of Spider-Man ones, you can just send them in all in together and get it.
Yeah, because I told him, I was like, congratulations on your lottery ticket, because like, I mean, just that submission, it's like 10 grand, like he definitely did well on his Whatnot purchase. So, but yeah, it's crazy. Like, and now granted, that one, there are a lot of 9.9s of that book. I think it's 130, but to get 5 at once in just some random person's submission,
man, isn't that's crazy though? Because it's like, when you told me it, I did have to look up. I was like, oh, how many 9.9s are there? And I was like 130, 180, whatever it was. Like, it's like, that's not that much. And this person got 10% of it or 5%.
Yeah. It's like a 4% jump. Like, I mean, that's one of the things I've been looking at for trying to find like significant 9.8s is I look at the percentage increase in the census. Right. And if it's at 1% or higher, almost, that's really when I'm like, that's significant to me.
Yeah.
This was like 3% or 4%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I said, congratulations to him, but that's, like you said, like whether CGC will admit it or not, it does appear that submitting a bunch of them at once increases your odds. Now, like I said, he submitted like 4 of these so far, and the other 3 didn't have any 9.9s. This one did. Right. So he just, like, people joke, maybe he got the friendly or greater that day or whatever. But yeah, congratulations to him. Because I asked, I was like, were these like the best ones? Were these the ones you thought? And he's like, no, like this is just sending these books for a 9.8 pre-screen.
That's all. I mean, hey,
Yeah. I asked him, I was like, how did it feel, when you saw that on your, like when you check the grades? I told him I'd be like hitting refresh a bunch of times just to make sure it wasn't like some mistake or something. Like maybe I wouldn't believe it until they were at my house. But yeah,
it's awesome.
So we've got a question. Recently acquired a Punch Comics 1 at a 4.5 grade.
Nice.
Having trouble to price it as the only recent sale was for a 7.0. Would you recommend to use it as so I mean, typically with books like that, the price per point is really all you can do. And so it's a lower grade, so maybe you say it's a little less in terms of per point, but you can't really ask for much more than that. So we have the 7.0 that went for 37.82. That's what, like 500 and change per point. You had a 4.0 go back in 2020 for 13.90. So I mean, I would probably say it's like a $2,000 book, you know, somewhere in that range, like 400 a point, give or take. So that's about the basis I would use for it. Now, if you were getting it graded and you were sending it in to decide what tier to send it in, I would send it in the lowest tier, because
$1,000 tier.
They're not going to know. So just don't pay them the walkthrough.
No.
Just send it into the lowest tier. If they upcharge you, fine, but they're not going to know.
Although, you know, I do tinfoil hat with my last CGC submission I did, that I was like, I think I got, if I sent them in the $1,000 tier, I think I would have done better.
Yeah, see, that's the tricky part. Like, I feel like when I've sent in walkthrough, I've been graded more harshly. I'm gun shy of walkthrough. Yeah. I don't like it.
So I'll say this. What I have heard is that there are certain graders who like grade certain tiers. So like, you know, if you have a modern, whatever, that's a certain pool of graders that are getting that, you know, the vintage tier is a certain pool of employee graders that are there. And I've just heard that what is that? The $400. So is that vintage?
That's vintage. Yeah.
So I heard the vintage graders are harder than the high value graders. That's just what I've heard.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like that's the opposite of my experience, but I haven't sent it in for maybe like 7 or 8 months. So maybe there's been some shifting, or
I think that, yeah. Well, again, it's all anecdotal, right? Yeah. So who really knows, you know, and it could just be any given day. But yeah, I think some of the people that have been talking is that CGC has been a little tighter, you know, in the last 7 months or so. I wonder why.
It's always tricky, you know, when you try to like, I mean, yeah, I mean, all I can really say about it is my experience across, you know, whatever it is, like 2.5 years of submitting. I always get the grades around what I think they are. And so I never really experienced this, like, oh, they're being harsher or less. Now, I will say I've experienced that it feels like certain things get graded more harshly. So you might have like one book that you thought was going to do better that got hammered, or a couple books that had certain flaws. Like I noticed that with one of my submissions, tanning just got wrecked. Like it was like they were just like, nope, we hate this now. And whereas foxing had no problems. Like I could get pretty high grades of foxing. And so it's I feel like that maybe shifts around occasionally. But I haven't for the most part. Like if you submit enough books, like usually I'm submitting like 75 books or 50 to 75 books at a time. And so across that full submission, I'm generally fine. You just have maybe a couple outliers in there. And that's when I start to see, I'm like, oh, those two showed that they had moderate tanning in the notes or something. And for whatever reason, like, even though CGC's graders guide says that I can get up to like a 9.0 or whatever, or an 8.5, I did not experience that.
Yeah.
So
do you think maybe to, and I don't know, I'm sure that there's situations like this for you, but like if you have a golden age book and if you get a 3.5 or a 4.5 price wise, you might still be fine. Like it's all kind of relatively within the thing. But like, if you're that person who's sending in, like you're trying to get that 9.8 and then you got the 9.6, like that's when the emotions are really high, right? Cause it's like, that's the big difference. You know, if you all of a sudden the value gap is so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in mid grades, the value gap is not nearly the same as well. And sometimes it depends on the book. Like there are certain books where you have these levels where the price just spikes. Like ASM, what is it? 11 or 12, whichever one is the purple cover. That book, it's like between like 1/2 grade. It just like has this massive jump. And I think a lot of it probably has to do with like when you reach around that like 50% census point or somewhere in that range, you know, I think that maybe plays a role in it, but
I think there's also psychological milestones, like an 8.5 versus a 9.0. Like I think a lot of people just pay more for a 9, you know?
Yeah, these like 4-color and Disney books, the high grade ones have been going for a lot of money lately.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, I mean, Disney, I say there's always going to be collectors for Disney. Disney's one of those things that whether it's comic books or not, you have somebody that wants Disney collectibles, then you know, it's not, I feel like you get crossover, you know, with that kind of stuff.
I feel like the you know, the Disney Rama, you know, those little, like the Disney, they're like, not statues, but they're these figurines that people really like to collect. I feel like if that market discovered Disney comics, that would be the thing that would finally help a lot of
that's what we need to do. We need to start like pushing Disney comics on. Like my uncle and my aunt are big. They like to go to Disney. So I gotta like start pushing that on them.
You got to get them in it. They gotta know that they came from the comic books.
Yeah. But yeah, let's see. I wonder if there were any other ones that I really wanted to. Oh, I mean, for Bronze Age. Well, let's start with Spider-Man, because everybody loves Spider-Man. The early Spider-Mans were very strong. And that's one of those things where I've been talking with you guys, like in the chat. It's like whenever I sell like a Spider-Man book or an X-Men book that I've bought, from the comic boom period, I'm just like, oh, just like the losses they're so huge. But I don't know. Now granted, super high grade can be a little different than other things, but like this 9.2 going for 36,000, I believe that was a new record. Yes. Yeah. The prior record was 32,400. I had it going for 30. Went for 36. And so it's just anytime I get a Silver Age book or Bronze Age book setting a record, I make note of it. And now, as Drew will always point out, this one is like the hardest to get in high grade. I don't think there are 9.8s. Let's see. I think the highest is a 9.6. Yeah, 3.96s, no 9.8s. So this one is exceptionally difficult to get in high grade. Because there's even a 9.8 of ASM1.
Yeah,
maybe,
true.
Maybe, kind of.
Yeah. And about that.
And then this one too. This one set a new record. Prior record was 16,800. I had it going for 14 because this book in other grades has been correcting and went for 18.6. And it's a creamed off white pages. Like I always have people coming at me where they're like, oh, it's because it was creamed off white pages or whatever. And it's like this one. Creamed off white pages.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
What's so funny is I just every time now I see the custom label, I just get a little scared.
Okay. Yeah, this was a swapped out book.
Yeah, just custom. I am scarred with custom label.
Let's take I don't know. Maybe we should investigate this one a little closer. It's like I don't know. It probably looks pretty fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. Like you're going to have spine ticks in a 9.4. There's 1, 2, 3, maybe a soft corner. Looks like maybe a little tanning or something. But like maybe a little thing here. But it's like with how close we're looking at this book, like this is Silver Age book. Yeah. like that is an incredible copy of that comic. But yeah. So those two definitely jumped out to me. The another one that did was this Hulk 180, because there wasn't any high grade 181 for me to really think about. Right. So there was this one, went for 18, and I was not expecting that. Now, granted, this is over 50% below the peak. This book peaked at 40,800, but I had it going for 15. It seems like it's been trending down, and 18, big sale for first cameo. I want to get some people angry with Wolverine. So
it was the one version of this book that was being sold and it was missing the last page or something like that.
Well, the funniest one I've seen was, there was one that was missing the last page, which I just figured like it was somebody that really hated Hulk 180. They're just like, nope, this is not the first appearance. The funniest one I've ever seen was one that was somebody posted about it, I think on Instagram, and it was in a slab as a green label, and it was like piece missing from last page. And they cracked it out and opened it, and somebody had X-Acto knifed out Wolverine.
Oh my God.
So it's like, I was like the worst possible thing to be missing from that book. And oh God, I was laughing. I was like, put that right back in the slab. It is really funny.
Yeah. Like it's like once that happens, like, do you really own the thing anymore? Do you really own, the first quote unquote appearance?
The first appearance is now some kid's like notebook that they glued that Wolverine.
What you own is the silhouette of the first appearance of Wolverine at that point.
Yeah. So Derek says custom labels give me flashbacks from December to January. Luckily I've never I've never liked custom labels because I don't like the notes being pushed to the back. That's
100%.
the only
Yeah.
thing. I don't like the
Totally
notes being
agree.
pushed to the back, and so that's what's been my thing against them. I don't have anything against the art or whatever, and
Yeah.
that's fine. I just don't like the notes on the back.
I think they're cool. Yeah, for like, you know, if you had a modern comic, you know, you had a modern Spider-Man book, you wanted to have it designed. That's fun. But yeah, I like seeing the first appearance. Oh, here you go. This is your favorite copy. This is your favorite book.
Yeah. Now, granted, for a Lou Fine book, I don't mind this one, but it is. But you can see it's like it's that sinewy, like person drawing, you know. But I like the black covers. I think the shark is pretty cool. Let's see what that feels cheap. I don't know. What's the restoration on this?
I'll tell you right now. Would you rather own this or would you rather buy ASM 300 for $9.8? You know.
That's a good question.
You know,
I'd rather have the ASM 300.
Maybe ASM 390 because actually you're gonna have a way easier time selling that than this book, I think.
Yeah, I'd rather have the ASM 300. Now, I mean, for me, being able to sell the book isn't necessarily the deal breaker on that. I don't know. Blue Fine. So I mean, ASM 300. I mean, it's going right about the same price. It's always tough to play that this or that game with comics because I mean, we've talked about it before. It's like if you did that, it's like pretty much everybody should just try to save up and just buy as many Amazing Fantasy 15s as they can.
True.
But so yeah, it's tough to make that comparison, but considering it's going about the same price, now it's more. I mean, obviously ASM 300. Like I'm not gonna pay more for this thing. But yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll say, it does seem like
this is a lot Human Torch.
A lot of people I think they like to leverage the CBCS blue label restored, you know.
That's interesting
because a lot of the restored books I've been seeing pop up are CBCS because you get to have that blue label that just doesn't stick out nearly as much. I wonder if here, let's see, what did that, you mentioned the Human Torch, what did that one go for? Is that number issue 1? Oh,
72. Yeah.
I wonder if people would get angry if CGC adopted the same thing. You know, like if CGC was like, all right, we've heard you hate purple labels, you hate green labels. We're just going to go with the blue and we'll put the notations on there like CBCS does. If there would be like the anger about they just want to rehold their money. Well, you know, or would they be happy about it?
You know, what's interesting is to answer your question, I do think that people would be very, very upset, or that would definitely be a thing. But, you know, Vancouver Chris, he's always kind of said like he thinks that that's the goal, like that they would love to inch to that, to just get everything back to blue label and just.
Do you think that's what like the JSA thing is? Because it gets a bunch of those greens out of there. You know?
Maybe that's actually an interesting thing. But yeah, like I bet that there's I wonder if they would actually do it.
I like books like this because I have never heard of this before. Just like someone's just like hyper mystery comics. That's, you know, they just come up with, like, let's put those words together. It's new, different adventure, just random words up on the top.
This is definitely like, you know, when you like go to like the side of a plumber van and it says like generic superhero thing, like this is where it came from, you know?
Yeah. I've never seen this book before. That does not happen very often.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I definitely don't know what it is.
Yeah, so I get a kick out of that when I see books that
but it's a number 1 issue. So look at all the first appearances you're probably getting. You're getting the first appearance of Hyper, I assume.
Look at this number 2, 6,600. That's a cool publisher. It's from Hyper Publications.
Yeah,
too. You know, like that's pretty cool.
You know that there's a couple people out there that are like gung-ho Hyper Comics, and like they've been waiting for 10 years for this book to go on sale.
And a character called the Phenomenal. I mean, come on. Like, but I got to be careful what I insult because, you know, last time I was ripping on Crazy Cat, and then I get people coming after me that are big Crazy Cat fans. So
The cat clan came after you.
Because there were some big crazy cat original art pieces that sold. I made sure to watch them just so I could easily go back and reference them.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It is definitely a thing that's like, going back to your, the guy, you talk about the 99 Spider-Man 1, and then it's, one Instagram message away from the guy who messages you, and just the people in the chat. It's interesting because we're such a niche community and hobby that whenever we talk about stuff, it's not very uncommon to be like, I'll talk about like, oh, the Wizard 1 sells for this. And then like the guy messaged me, he's like, hey, I'm the guy that bought that. Like it happens a lot.
It's one of those things, because I'll say I didn't do a good job of this with the Albedo too, but I generally try not to make people feel bad about a purchase. If you want it, it's the thing you wanted. I mean, like, good, congratulations on your pickup, all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to make people feel bad about purchases. But some of the stuff, like, I mean, like this one, I mean, look at this, like Crazy Cat Sunday strip, 31 grand. Now, from what I understand, from the people who made sure to let me know, is that it's real big for like the art community. Like it's a very early, like something that, is big for the art community. But I mean, it's similar. The way I look at it is similar to like Richie Rich. Like when we talk about that, it's like, how many long, like lasting fans are going to be out there for this material that, you paid 31 grand.
Yeah.
Like in 10 years, is this still 30? Is there still enough people that are alive that want this for 31 grand? And I don't know.
Not if you don't keep the name alive in some way. Yeah. Derek was on top of that.
I'm talking about Richie Rich again. I can't help it.
Yeah. You do wonder. Yeah. Certainly that collector base, falls off, but that's why these companies have to carry on to the next generation and have a catalog. And, the ones that are still going, as much as we make fun of current Marvel comic books and stuff, current publishing right now, like ideally they're still, getting the next generation of people to like Spider-Man and Batman and stuff. And that's why you can maybe feel a little more safe with those books in the future.
Yeah. Now this one you don't see too often. Jumbo Comics 1 is a restored, but 4 grand. There's some of these books, and they won't be graded because they are legitimately, these early ones live up to their name. They are massive. They will not fit in a magazine slab.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's there. No, it doesn't.
We're a little ways away, so I don't want to jump ahead, but it's an interesting one that's coming up is the Marvel Family 1. When we were talking about the Wiz comics and stuff.
All right, let's see if I was watching that one.
That was one where that book, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, has changed the trajectory for that one.
I wasn't watching that one. Do you have a number for
it? Lot is 95164.
Oh yeah, man, this book went on a wild ride.
Yeah,
like I remember pre-Comic Boom, I had the ability, like I was on Instagram, I had made an offer on, it was like a 2.5 or a 3 of this, and like a 5.5 or a 6 of Journey into Mystery 85. And I think I offered like 3 and they wanted 32. It was something low like that, where it's like, now you're like, and I was like, no, I'll pass. And then Comic Boom happened. And then that 2.5 Marvel Family 1 was like 10 grand or something. The first Loki, that Jim 85 jumped up to crazy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I made a huge mistake. But like I'll never financially recover from this.
Yeah.
But
it's amazing to think about that time. Yeah. Because I remember some of these books were just sitting on eBay, buy it now,
Yeah.
At that time.
So let's see. Let's look at the price. Yeah. Cause this book, I mean, thanks to The Rock, it went absolutely bananas. But I mean, look at these corrections. Like this 7.0 selling for 11,000, 6.0 in 2022 selling for 36,000.
My God.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, and it feels like a book that should sell for a lot. I mean, it's like first appearance of Black Adam. It's a major character, but I mean, look at these prices. It's like $1,000 a point. That feels affordable. But
it's like, it's one of those, it's so funny to talk about like speculation within like kind of golden age comic books, but it had happened for this one and Captain Marvel or Shazam
Oh
and
yeah,
Wonder Woman.
that
You know,
Shazam,
they got too high. You
what
know,
was it? Is it Shazam 28 or whatever? That first Silver Age Black Adam,
oh
that book
yeah,
went crazy, and then it went just to nothing.
yeah.
I mean, high grades like 9.6 selling, going from like $4,000 down to $200. I mean,
Yeah.
just wild.
And even the did the Aquaman book get kind of ahead of itself too? The more fun.
Oh, 72 or 70.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
almost were there some of those ones that had a little pullback, and even Showcase 4, I feel like kind of got a little bit of a
Yeah, I mean, Showcase 4, it definitely got a little hot, but it doesn't sell all that often.
yeah,
So
it's still
like
pretty.
those books that don't sell too often weren't getting hurt too bad. But I mean, like this was the big drop I noticed. It was that 8.0. Like it had that $132,000 sale and then back down to, 80. But I mean, this book was, I mean, look at this. Like back in, let's see, what's that? It was 84 in 2016.
Right.
I mean, it's like, it's been the same. That is the tricky part with some of these DC keys. They've been the same price for like a decade.
True. Yeah.
But that's why, yeah, if you're sitting on a spike on a DC book, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's interesting stuff, and I don't want to like get the like you say, like get the crazy cat people to come after me, because I like DC. I think it's great, but a lot of the DC keys, it's like the bird in the hand worth two in the bush. I feel like there's still a lot of people with the two in the bush mentality with DC keys of like, oh, just you wait with James Gunn, and that's why they're still kind of high. But I'm like, we're asking for a lot here.
But then James Gunn said aren't we getting like a Blue Beetle television show or something?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ugh.
That's true. Yeah, it's like, I mean, look, he might do it, but like there's a lot of qualifiers here that need to happen in order for this interest to sustain.
Yeah, so Mark here says my kids don't know anyone outside of the MCU, Justice League, or Teen Titans. So
yeah,
but I mean, yeah, Teen Titans is a great cartoon, so I understand why.
Yeah,
Teen Titans gets a lot of attention. But yeah, let's see. I'm trying to. Let's see what the. I think the Ultimate Fallout 4 is sitting under 10 right now, because we're definitely not going to make it to that. That is item 454, and we are on 144. It is 3 times out in the distance here. So I mean, that's probably going to finish at like 6 p.m. And I will not still be on this at 6 p.m. But and that means we're not going to be able to see the pulps either. Those are at the very end, or those are the very end of this. But we can talk about some of the pulps. Yeah, so here it is. It's in at 8,700. I mean, this is one of those books that I keep thinking it's going to have an auction where it's going to just like it comes up and it just doesn't get any more bids, and you're going to have that $9,000 sale or whatever. And that's going to be the point where it just, it starts falling. But
yeah,
I don't know. It bounced back from that low eBay sale. I think its last sale was like 15, but I've said before, I think it has the potential to drop to like 5. So I'd be really, really wary of it, but
yeah, it could go low. I'd like to, for all those who are Miles fans and holders of this book, like I hope for them, it doesn't feel that pain. I feel bad when I make videos about it going down, but it certainly could happen with that one. It certainly could.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, to me, like everything I'm looking at, and I think some people think it's like, I'm like, I hate that book or whatever. Something. It's like, no, it's like, I'm just looking at it from a risk perspective.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It's like, this was a $2,000 book. It turned into a $40,000 book overnight. And that just doesn't seem sustainable. And so then I expect it to make a pretty hard correction. I mean, and it's the fact that we saw it with like everything else. It's like, why would this one be different?
Right.
I mean, it's not like there aren't other big characters that are very popular like Miles Morales. So
right. I mean, we were talking about it with the TMNT1 book. I mean, we there's still that feeling of like, ooh, it's still like, who knows with this one, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, hey Victor, thanks appreciate you watching the channel, and glad that the videos have helped out.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to see what are some of the ones that we can jump ahead and talk about them if they're interesting.
I'll jump to the weird tales then.
Oh yeah.
Because
let's talk about that.
I wanted to talk about this book. So because this is one of the ones that's kind of become just a running
Infamous
gag. Yeah, running gag. Because it's like I honestly, like, I really like this cover. And I know I think you don't like this cover, but I like this cover.
I mean, it's okay. I like the kind of greenish teal. I think that's striking, but it's okay.
That's what really sells it for me. I like solid backgrounds in books. And so I think that's part of the thing I really like with it. And I got the little bit kind of like a Batman type tie-in, but this is one of those books that like we keep seeing pop up a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like our joke is always like, oh, it's so rare. It's just like we keep seeing it pop up like all over the place. And so that's why I've made comments about pulps before. It's like, again, I don't have anything against pulps, but it felt like they got very, very inflated quickly when the grading started. And it's like, just wait it out and see what happens.
Totally.
Like there's no need to jump in, because just in this auction, another one. So
yeah, there's two, and even outside this auction, like we know of a couple dealers on Instagram that have some, right, that are trying to sell it. So
yeah. So it's like there is a census for these books, but we don't really. It's so soon that the census is useless.
Yeah.
It's like 5 and 4, 5, 8 higher. There's 19 on here now. How many are going to be on there in a year? That's why I think it's worthwhile to just wait and see. Because if books are getting big numbers, this one's at $5,000. This one's at 20. Like it's just like with comics. When you have big numbers, they pull out books.
Yes.
Like people that have them are like, oh, they somehow they hear about it through the grapevine or whatever. Like maybe they aren't somebody that would submit to CGC, but someone's like, oh, hey, I heard, have you heard about this sale? And then they go, oh, maybe I do want to sell this thing that I got for $15, 30 years ago, that I can now sell for $20,000.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's interesting too, because, and I don't know, because I'm still learning about pulps and stuff, but I went to a Pulp Palooza and talked to a bunch of people and heard them talk about stories. And I know that there's a pulp culture out there, but I think as pulps kind of hit the internet and this culture, like new things form and new interests form and new keys almost kind of become their own sort of thing. And so even to your point, like wait for the census to kind of settle. It's also sort of like wait for like, that's kind of become the key book, but like, what if another one becomes really the key book that everyone really wants? And so that still has to kind of take shape too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you saw these, but like so many Gaines file copies. And look at this. Some big numbers, Mad 6 and a 9.6 for 17,000.
Yeah. That's insane.
That seems really high.
This almost feels like your instant, like, hey, instant top of census. Like, just give me all of them,
because I've been talking about these Gaines file copies a little bit for the last like 3-4 months. They've been getting, they used to be a lot more affordable. They have been getting some very, very big numbers. So that 9.6 is never sold. Let's see. That's crazy. Usually for EC, you've got 9.8s. So the 9.6 is actually the top of census for that book. Let's see. Yeah. So, you had a 9.4 in 2021 go for $4,000. That still feels like that's a big number. It's the first time one's ever sold. So, that's what it is, but 17,000 is a lot. And then the next one had a really big sale too. This one, a 9.2 for $6,000 for issue number 8.
And these are the top of census.
Well, I don't know about this one. Let's see. 3 and 924 higher. So not the top for this one. There's 3 9.4s and 196. Again, no 9.8s. Now, maybe part of that is maybe I don't know, maybe the horror ones ended up, there's just, maybe there were more of them, maybe the higher print. So you're more
Right.
like, maybe he kept more. But I mean, one hasn't sold for a long time. A 9.2 went for 2,900 in 2021. So, I mean, maybe 6 doesn't sound all that unreasonable. Oh no, this is the 9.2. I was thinking it was higher. So, I mean, that's double, in a couple of years. So yeah, I mean, these Gaines file copies, it seems it's outside of just the pre-code horror, are definitely getting some pretty serious attention. But yeah, and there's a whole bunch of them. And I know there was somebody that posted on Instagram that maybe these are theirs. I don't know. They said they had a whole bunch of EC Gaines file copies they were selling. I had thought that they were maybe pre-code horror, not mad, but I mean, look at this. It just keeps going. It's just like, yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things, a lot of them, I mean, you'll see they have these numbers next to them.
Right.
So what that number means is he had 12 copies, and this was considered the 7th best copy of the 12 because like when I had bought a Gaines file copy a few months back, and it had the paperwork still. And that was signed by Bill Gaines and Bob Overstreet and one other person. And on it says that these were evaluated by Bob Overstreet, and he ordered them from what he thought at that time was which was pre-pressing, so there's different, things could definitely turn out different, but from the best copy to the lowest grade copy of his file copies. And now granted, like, I think the one I got on that sheet was like 11 of 11 or 12 of 12, but it was like a 9.4 or 9.6, I mean, it's like, just because it's a higher number doesn't mean it's still not like an incredible grade for that book. But yeah, if you wonder what those numbers mean, that is what those, oh yeah. So they've got one here. They show it.
Okay.
So yeah, you can see signed by William Gaines, Bob Overstreet, and Russ Cochran. And Overstreet ranked the copies in each package in order of the best condition, and Cochran placed each book in a Mylar sleeve. So that was how that all happened.
I wonder how his grading was. Yeah. Does CGC get them and say like, oh man, this guy didn't know what he was doing?
Oh, poor Overstreet.
Yeah.
But we got Vancouver Comic Junkie has joined.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, weren't there 10 to 12 copies on average? And that's what it looks like from here when you see these numbers. Like this was 9, 12, 12, 12, 12. So yeah, a lot of them seem to have about 12, which like that's why there are these 9.8s and 9.9s and 9.6s, and it's not like there's a ton of them. It's still only 12 of that book, but it's why you have them outside, like with a lot of other Golden Age books, they just don't even exist.
Yeah.
Flexopotamus says, was flipping through a Mad 3 I picked up raw and noticed Gaines' name with the credits. Was he a lawyer for EC Comics? Well, he was the president, like like CEO, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Or he was his father started it and then he inherited it or something like that.
Yeah, it used to be like that's where like the educational comics or whatever came from.
That's right.
And it's like Comic Journey. It's like, I mean, based on the prices, I'd say they are getting attention. I mean, like so some of those are selling for more than some of the PCH Gaines copies that I've seen. I mean, these are getting some very serious numbers.
Maybe there's the PCH fans came out this auction, right? With the original art and the the EC books right here. Maybe there's those collectors are showing up.
Oh, I forgot about this one. This sale. Now, granted, it's tough to price out something like this. I think I messaged in the chat about this one. This sale was very surprising to me.
Your Torchy
number 4. Like it's my favorite cover from this run. But a 9.6 white pages sold for 15,000. The thing that was tough for me with pricing this one out was that when you get certain books and they're going to potentially hit certain price points, like we mentioned with like the really high dollar stuff, like the 100, 200, 300,000, like they start competing with other things. And I I didn't think this book could hit those numbers because I didn't think it could, like, once you hit 15 grand, the things you're competing with are going to maybe push it away. And so I think I had it going for 9. And so 15,000.
Is there 9/8 of this?
I think this is the highest. Yeah.
Okay.
2 and 9.6, none higher.
Okay.
Now this one, it's one of those books that it shows you how you get some of these weird cuts. I noticed it when I saw this one, is that, like, you look at that right edge and, like, it's just completely angled in.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, it's not flush there, and it's maybe it looks, because it looks square on this side.
Right.
And so it's just one of those things you notice with the golden age, where you're just like, you never really, like, you always wonder, it's like, is it trimmed or something?
Yeah,
or is it just a weird
genuinely
cut?
looks like it was trimmed, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so that one jumped out. Another big one. Let's see, did this one beat my? Yeah, it did, but it wasn't a record. It's one that I am not a huge fan of this book, but I know some people are, like when we talk about PCH, or a lot of people are. But Venus 19, Bill Everett cover, went for 21.6. I had it going for 20. Its record was 28,750. So yeah, I mean, a pretty strong sale. But yeah, just this one. There are other ones I like more. That's why I think.
It's kind of feels like it's the not quite as classy Chamber 19 sort of thing. It's a cool book for sure, and definitely a lot of people like it. But
yeah, to me, it's one of those where it's like, at that price point, I'm not interested. Like.
Right.
It's like, I was talking with some people about the Suspense 3 that sold, that went for 51,000.
Yeah.
And, I had a few people that were telling me it was going to, it's like, this may go for like 75. People were telling them they would bid 75. And I was just like, at 75, I'd rather have something else. Like, is a book that I really want, but for that copy at 75, I would have no interest. Like, if it was like a super high,
that one is tough.
Yeah, like if it was a great presenting 1.5 or something, like maybe, but that copy at 75, I'm like, I could get like a 2.0 or a 1.8 Tech 31, and I would absolutely rather have that than Suspense Comics at that price point.
Sure.
And so I don't know. That's where, like, now it's like, again, it's like, it's all about the grade in that case. Like, if it was a 4.0, it's different, but yeah, that one, I don't know. And that's one of the things that it's different for everybody, but that's just how I look at a lot of these books. It's like, if they reach a point where I'm not interested in paying that, for that book compared to other things, then it completely will fall off my radar.
Right. But yeah, it's kind of, that's the interesting thing, with comic buyers' behaviors and what people sort of like. But like you said, yeah, it's hard to play the this or that game because people have different preferences.
All right. I just wanted to talk about, because I saw this on my screen over here. And so with this one, because I had pulled in the sales numbers before they went live. This was sitting at 8,700 before it went live, which is why I had priced it, I think, at 14.5. Its prior record was 24. And we had a Comic Link sale of a 9.8 3 weeks ago for 26. And so that's why this was possibly the most surprising sale of the entire auction. Now, the only reason that you get that weird thing is that, I know people get upset with GPA not having like Comic Link data or whatever, but it is what it is. If you look at the sales data for Albedo 2, it doesn't look like it's that far off of a buy. But then when you know about that Comic Link sale, it seems really off. And so it's like the 9.8 went for 55.2. And so you're like, okay, 9.6, 33, which is still high for a 9.6 to a 9.8. But when you look at all the other grades, like 9.4, 9,000, 9.0, 6,000, like they've all corrected pretty significantly.
Right.
And that's why, my point on this one was that when you have other books where, this was going for 21.5 back in 2022. This one was 62, and again 62. This one 48 down to 35. You have these ones that seems to be, they don't sell often, but seems to be correcting to then pay a 50% record is just
risky.
it's very risky.
It's risky. Yeah.
Yeah. Like even if you could somehow crack it out and get a 9.8, you still know about that 9.8 that sold for 7,000 less than this. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, but yeah, that staple is a little bit funky.
Yeah, it definitely has like kind of like the pushed in staple thing, which doesn't seem to hurt grades. But I mean, it's a good looking book. Like
Yeah.
maybe
I mean, you
there
look
might
at it,
be
it's like,
something over here.
but a grader could have given this a 9.8 too, and no one probably would have really lost it.
No, based on what I could see there, I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah,
let's see if they did this 9.6 get great. Light staple rust.
Interesting.
So yeah. So I mean, I've talked to people about that where like staple rust can get some very, very high grades. And maybe that is the only thing that held this one back, but it still is a 9.6. Because I mean, I've had people like I had somebody in a comment recently where they said it was something about like if they have rust on the staples, they it was almost like I think they said it's like immediately like a 4, or they'll like it was something like they almost want to give the book away. And I was like, just so you know, you can get some very high grades with rust, like 9+, depending on how much there is. And so it's just like it's one of those things you got to know how they treat it. But yeah, maybe that's the reason this one isn't a 9.8, and maybe the person saw that note and they think like maybe I can get that rust off
without that rust
without CGC noticing. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, part of the way I look at it is, yeah, they don't sell quite as much, but the print count was I think it was like 2,000. So it's very similar to TMNT 1. And to me, this book at this grade is like with that price is approaching or getting real close to even surpassing TMNT 1.
Yeah.
And this is not TMNT 1.
Right.
So that's kind of how that's my logic on it. But
yeah.
I love this cover. This is one of my, like, for a Fawcett cover, this is I think it's the first cover of Captain Marvel Jr., but it's got everything going on this one. I mean, you got the woman in the red dress with the guy pouring wax on her. You've got Captain Nazi in the background. Here, let's pull that one up.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on, which is
the fun. Bullet Man, and just like the color scheme always is whatever this creepy guy, but the color scheme really pops. I 2,600 feels cheap. I don't know. Like for this book, that feels really cheap.
Yeah, you could buy ASM 300.
Yeah, good. Like if I could buy this or ASM 300 at that price, I would buy this.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, yeah. See, first Captain Marvel Jr. cover, part 3 of the trilogy. Because his first appearance is, I think, Master 21 or something like that. Master 21 or Master 20. Yeah. But yeah, I have owned this one other time, and that is a very good looking copy.
Yeah, the blue is really nice on that.
Yeah.
Here's a nice little Bernard Bailey.
Yeah. See, like this Bernard Bailey versus that Spectre Bernard Bailey.
Sure.
Like, it doesn't even seem. If I didn't know Bernard Bailey did those Spectre covers, I wouldn't think he did those Spectre covers. Like based on his work here, either he vastly improved his skills, or it was like when he was at DC, they're like, you have to draw the character this way.
Totally.
Because they do have that with DC.
Or he had his turnaround at DC was like, you have one day to do all these covers, versus maybe he had time to spend on this stuff.
Ah, man, that is a cool one. That's a cool cover. I think I might own this book.
I mean, anytime it's just like how much work it took. Like he had to draw all of the faces individually, right? Like,
and it's like that's what he does. Like he is so good at like multiple different faces. It's not the same stuff like plastered on the cover.
Yeah.
It's super unique stuff.
Here's the next one.
This person says the Albedo 2 is an ego bidding war. It could be like someone's just like, screw it.
Totally.
It's like but yeah, like that's why I tell people though, like, don't even think about what that pre-auction price is. Now, granted, the only difference it makes is you clearly can't go down from there. But these books go up. I mean, that was 4 times in the live. Like they go up huge percentages, often in the live. Now, not always. Like I think that Captain America 1 only got like maybe one bid in the live, and so sometimes they don't. But
you Moon Girl fan right here?
I am not, but I know they're pretty expensive books. The weird thing with Moon Girl is that the content changed like almost every issue. They're like, first it's like, it's like superhero kind of thing, and then it goes to like I think it goes to romance and good girl art, and
it jumped around a lot.
It's all kinds of stuff. It's like they couldn't figure out what was going to sell.
Yeah.
So like this is one of the books, like all Bernard Bailey people love this book, and I don't know.
Yeah, this one is not my favorite. The one that I always think is pretty cool is the one, it's like the mirror reflection one. That's kind of the one cover I like of this set.
I don't know which one that is.
It's not up for sale, but it's like I don't even think it's a key. It's just a kind of a cover. I thought was always pretty cool.
Well, I feel like that's what a lot of these are. Like outside of those, the couple first appearances, it's just like, do you like that Spectre cover or not, or do you like that?
More Fun 65. That's the one that I kind of like.
So. Let's see here. So, yeah, I feel like GPA has been a little slow. So More Fun 65. Just get a look at one of the. Yeah, it's a cool cover.
Yeah, it's just one that I was like, yeah, that's fun. That's cool.
And definitely a lot more affordable than. I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes maybe even above that.
This is definitely one of the quote unquote keys that people like for this.
Oh no! Okay, it sold for 8,400. So almost exactly the same, but 8,400 for restored. But
you could have 3 ASM 300s for that. when we talk about books in terms of ASM 300 value,
that's what we should do now. Percentage of ASM 300 value.
This thing is worth 10 ASM 300s.
Now, one of the books, because I had somebody comment to me on Instagram about this one, so I figure I'll bring this book up. 91092. So this is Mass Comics number 2, because they were asking if this book was crashing, or something like that. And I mean, I had it going for 30, and it went for 31,200. So like my answer was no. Like to me, this is what I expected this book to go for. But I think part of the reason was that there was a pretty high sale recently, and that's the thing with Golden Age books. You have to. You can't necessarily just price off of if sometimes you're forced to price off of one sale, but I always talk about those like confirmation sales, and there's enough sales here that you can kind of get a decent picture of the value.
Yeah.
And so you had this $20,000 sale here, you had this $12,000 sale here, and I think this one was the one that he was wondering about. And like to me, I felt the 12 was maybe a little low, but not much, and then this 4.5 was high. I probably would have had that at like 16, and then the 6.5, like I said, at like 30. And so it's like, you have this one sale is maybe a little low. This one sale is maybe a little high, but otherwise, more or less, it's around where I'd expect that book to go. So no, I didn't think that this one was falling in any way. I mean, a 6.5 is a tough grade for that one.
For sure. Plus, we all know everyone's saving their money for Mask 1, the superior.
That's right. Because it is the superior cover for Mask Comics. I got to see what this goes for.
Oh yeah, I thought of you when I saw this book. I was like, it's your favorite.
I feel like it's probably the only reason I'm watching this one, because I do not care for this cover, but but people are always asking a lot of money for it, even though the sales don't seem to justify it.
It's the meme from Mean Girls where it's like, or is it Mean Girls? Yeah. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah,
like, this is that book.
Yeah, this is fetch. And so we'll see what it goes for. I just like just because like this is how I always kind of look at it. It's like just because something has a skull on it doesn't mean I like the cover. And so
Right.
I just
right.
don't. I think the biggest negative for this one to me is the color scheme. That the yellow background with the green, it really washes everything out. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like a book jacket to me.
Right. Yeah. The Mysterious Traveler header is kind of clashes with the yellow a little bit.
Yeah, it's like this stuff, like these giant these giant headers, like these catch your attention. They stick out. They're fun. I don't know. You don't get the same thing with that one.
Right.
We got ASM 300 price index. So since Go Collect took your job, your index, now you can come up with the ASM 300 price index. Everything off.
For clarity on that, like, because I think I'm always being like flippant with like how I talk about stuff, and a couple people were like, no, Swag, don't feel bad, like your index is still good, and I was just like, no, I'm actually happy they're doing it. I'd actually rather just be like, if it's good enough, I'll just cover their thing, and then I don't have to do the work. It's great.
That's what I told you. I was like, this is a great time saver for you. You just go to the page and you just present it, and instead of having to look up all that sales data. But Dr. Sean asks, did anyone pick anything up in this heritage auction yet? I did not. I personally, like, I had bought way too much stuff over the last few months, and I have really, really been trying to be good about it, about like just not bidding on things, like, or unless it's like feels like a steal of a deal or something. I mean, I'm trying to rebuild my comic fund, money. And
do you have to are you behind on your listings too? You have to allocate time. Like, you gotta get a list.
I am always behind on that Golden Age collection. That thing is the bane of my. I have had the long box with the with like I've listed the 100+ books which are in there, but like the next set of books are part of that box. I have had that sitting next to me for 3 months, and like every few days I'm like, all right, list a couple. Just like,
where's your picture? Because you have like the wood. I don't know if that's on the like a hardwood floor or something. Where's your picture relative to where you sit right now?
Like 2 feet in front of me.
Okay. So is it within arm's reach?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, no, that box is like right here.
Yeah. you gotta turn on the podcast, and you just go to work on that.
Well, no, like to take away from some of the magic, like I think I don't know if I've ever said, but like I'm in like a corner.
Like,
between a couch and the wall and this gas pipe up here. It's like, this is not some big space. Like I move all my monitors around so that I can set this up here. And it is a small space that, like, if I'm sitting here too long and my leg starts to cramp, I have nowhere to go. I have to just try to fight through it and hope nobody. Oh yeah, this is a big one here. Mystic Comics number 9, the Hitler like throwing the lady in the furnace cover with the destroyer. And if you're not familiar with the destroyer, he's the like Stan Lee's first big creation.
It's interesting. Has Stan Lee ever said, like, why is the destroyer gone? Like, why did they never bring him back?
I have no idea. I think I mentioned that, and I think somebody said he has been brought back like a couple times throughout history, like maybe like in the 70s, and then again maybe in the 90s or something, but definitely not a character that I have kept up with. To me, he's very similar to Black Terror, where it's like if you just saw him, you're like, that guy is the villain. Like he's like, I don't see him as a hero looking character. He's got a skull on his chest, just like the Black Terror. Weird striped pants. But let's check out that one. I have no idea if that's a good price or not.
$9K. I mean, that's actually seems like, because the Hitler covers, you get a lot with this one. So feels.
Yeah. So Rafaust Comics says he was in a few Invaders comics in the 70s.
Oh, okay. All right.
So a 2.0 went for 7,800, a 4.5 went for 13.2, 3.0 went for 9. So 13.2 is about 3,000 a point. This one is about 3,500 a point. The 3.0 went for 3,000. I mean, it's in range, you know, like
Right.
I would say it's like maybe feels a little low, but it's close enough that with 3 sales or 2 sales in the last couple of years.
Being one bid off.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I look at some of that stuff. Yeah. It's like, this is only one bid that it takes it above or below. That's why I generally think more about the books that were like 20% or more off.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But,
so I have one, just jumping ahead because we probably won't get to it, but a couple lots for you to talk about
sure.
here. Go pull up to 95,403. And then you're gonna pick up 95,404. You got the back-to-backs with the CBCS and CGC. This time CBCS 0.5 higher, and they're currently sitting at the same price.
So 12.6. Oh, and 12. What's the page quality? We got off-white to white. We've got off-white. Oh man, off-white to white too.
This is going to be another interesting little sale. Like if the 7.5 sells for more, that would be really.
It's like that Hulk one that, you know, from a couple of years ago, where the white page like 6.5 CBCS sold for less than the off-white to white 6.0 or something.
Yeah.
CGC. Yeah. No, I hadn't caught this one. I didn't know this was coming, because I like to see that when you've got like a back-to-back CBCS.
Yeah. No, I just knew I was scrubbing ahead. And I was like, oh, this could be interesting.
We will not make it to that.
No, we won't. But if you want to recap and stuff, if you pull out interesting little sales, this might be one to take a look at.
Yeah. So Derek is saying you need to have more pipes than me.
I'm going to do so many more pipes than Ryan's background.
Yeah. No, I don't recommend the pipes. If you could not have them, if I could not have this year, it would be, and up there.
You should just paint. Fantastic. What if you just painted them like green? You can just kind of go into a Mario like aesthetic here.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife would love that. If I have little like,
I have an idea. Yeah,
plants coming out of the pipe, and but yeah. So I guess anybody in the chat, did you pick up anything in this auction? Did you like Dr. Sean? If you're asking, did you buy any books? I won't ask if there's anything you're looking to bid on, because I don't want to impact your bidding.
So Horvath was going for cap 17, but got priced out.
Yeah, I mean, that's bidding in these auctions is always tough. The signature auctions. I do find it like I've never bought a book from a signature auction, and it's always, I mean, of course there's deals out there, but I do find them to be competitive. Yeah. I mean, they have the booklets that are all sent out. They're out there longer. Like the bidding is longer. I have been like, when you look at your time investment for like trying to find like a deal on a book or something like that, they are probably one of the poorer time investments, because there's so many. I feel like there's so many less deals in the signature auctions. But
yeah, it feels like the weeklies, and I mean, if you're not trying to buy like a massive marquee book, but like the weekly auctions and the kind of under the radar comic link ones, that's probably your better bet.
Yeah. And Dr. Sean said he bought the I think that was a Gaines copy, right? The crime suspense stories. Let's see. Was that one? Because I'm sure I was watching that. Let's see.
Dissected bodies in med school.
Yeah, so that was 95080. All right, yeah. Gaines file copy 963840. Yeah, I mean, because like look at that. Like, I mean, a 9.6 going for 3840, and a pretty crazy like pre-code horror cover, and like those Mads were hitting bigger numbers. So
I like it. Dr. Sean is trying to play it off that his doctor and dissecting bodies, and that's why he likes this book. But we all know why you really like the book. It's very popular feet imagery.
Yeah, the feet cover. Yeah. Yeah, New Compass says having I think he's talking about the planets, probably having a new full run in auction. Do you think that Flood's demand and prices are weakened, or does it attract collectors? I mean, it's hard to say. It just, I think it probably attracts collectors. But what I often look for with those is I look for the Sunday auction that comes up after this to get the overflow,
Yeah.
and that's like we joke about the, like which session you're, a bidder on. And like, I think this goes like through session 7. So if you're bidding on Sunday, you're not even in there. You're session 8, bidder or something like that. Like, I mean, it's just,
You know
yeah,
what I wonder with the overflow, like with the say the coming weekly auction that's going to happen on Sunday and Monday and stuff. Like sometimes I wonder, it's like, the person who bought the Tech 27, it's like he's still got the checkout, or she or whoever, right? So they might be like, well, now that I have one big invoice to pay for, like let me keep buying, just combined shipping. So I wonder if sometimes those, you still get the higher prices in these following up things.
well, especially if they thought they were going to have to spend like 800 or 900,000.
Right,
Now they're just like, oh, I just got to buy more stuff. I got all this
Yeah.
cash sitting around. But yeah. Oh, Jose says, I got a Spawn 198 from Heritage a few months ago. They sure take their sweet time with shipping. Yeah, I think it all depends how, well, I guess what you're used to with shipping. So if you're used to like eBay or like an Instagram claim sale where someone's probably going to ship it out within a day or two, yes, they are very slow. But if you're used to auction house shipping, at least my experience is Heritage has tend to be the fastest for me. Then probably Comic Link and then Comic Connect. Comic Connect, my last 2 purchases, I've had to reach out to them after a month to get them to ship my books. So, and I think one of them, I might've waited 6 weeks. I was just like, all right, I will finally reach out and see what's going on here. And every time I reach out, they ship them out within like a day. But that's been kind of my experience with the different shipping. But yeah, it's definitely a different game than Whatnot or whatever, where they're required to ship out in 24 hours or whatever it is. Like,
I have a smaller sample size, but that feels right to me. I feel like Comic Connect has been slower than Heritage and stuff.
Now with Heritage, because I've bought enough from them, I don't even have to pay them and they'll ship it out. They know I'm going to pay them. So it's like, I remember like a little earlier on, like I used to always reach out to them if I wasn't going to be able to pick something up or be there to receive something. I'd be like, hey, can you hold it? And I hadn't done that yet. And I hadn't paid, because I was like, oh, they won't ship it out until I pay. And they shipped it out. And I was like, what just happened? So I messaged them and they're like, oh, we know you'll pay. I'm like, all right. Hey,
that's funny.
So you build up some trust, I guess, at some point. So
yeah, I'm not there yet. They're like, hey, where's your money? Where's our money?
Yeah. And Mark here, he bought the Lawbreaker Suspense 11 and an 8.0. That's the creepy tongue cover. So yeah, that's a cool pickup. Consume the Living was gunning for this Spellbound 11 or 17, but it's past his pocket lint now. Let's see. Who continues to buy comics as investments when you can buy Nvidia stock or diabetes weight loss stocks? I mean, I do, but yeah, you can't.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because this is what's going to happen. As soon as I take my comic money to buy Nvidia, it's going to go to zero. Like that's what's going to happen.
I seem to have a knack for that. It's like I buy Apple or whatever, and then it's like, yeah, we're gonna.
It's so hard. It's so hard. Like Nvidia, man. I'm like, everyone's got the wall of worry right now.
Man, it's gone up so fast.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it could like sometimes those things can keep going for a while. Yeah. You never know. But yeah, I mean, I'll say at least with comics, one of the things I like is that if you can buy at the right place, you can have instant equity. Like you can't do that with stocks. Like stocks, you're buying at the price that it's at. Or if you you find a raw book that, looks like it could really get a good grade. Like it's that instant equity aspect that comes with collectibles, not just comics, but like collectibles that can be the appeal there. But yeah, like you can't compete with the returns like that Nvidia is getting, obviously. But for every Nvidia, there's a GameStop, so it's not always that way. Granted, GameStop I think has been doing well lately, but yeah. Kamikaze says shipping from Heritage to Canada is pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't think they give you a discount. I think you got to pay a lot for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been on here 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I think people can continue to watch the auction as they please. You got anything you want to add before we drop off for here?
No, just thanks to everyone in the chat for hanging out. It was a good stream, talking about these auctions and the books. And I don't know. That's all I got. We'll see what happens for the rest of some of these ones. I'm sure later this week, we'll circle back in some form. Maybe you'll talk about the UF4. That'll be interesting to see, or some of these other storylines that are coming out of it. And definitely we should try to figure out if we can set up a stream for the giant size X-Men next week.
That is, yeah, I'm hoping we can do that. That should be fun, because
yeah,
I have no idea what it's going to sell for, and I want to know. I mean, like you said, you've heard some potential big numbers from people, but you never know. Like I hear that a lot with auctions.
That's
like
true.
Someone's like, "Oh, I'm going to pay this," or someone's going to pay this, but then when it comes time to hit that big
cold
feet,
they
don't always do it. So.
Yeah, and if the marquee numbers for this auction is any indication, it could be that maybe that book won't go as high as what it was being hyped for originally.
Yeah, no, I mean that definitely is something to think about. That those, like the biggest of the big, like maybe those will be weak, but yeah, we'll see. That's what's always, I don't know, it's fun with watching these auctions. You never really know what anything is going to sell for. You can make your best guess, but it depends who's in the room that day, and which billionaires have been called up to participate. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
but
got to get Nick Cage and Eminem to show up. They're definitely off this summer.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing updated setup eventually with
Comics. This is purely temp. This is temp because I'm still transitioning, but we'll see. It's going to be a process. Because I gotta paint and do stuff, but we'll get there.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.